Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's show was recorded on February the 16th of 2016. I'm your host, the gaming psychologist, and with me as always, Captain Chuckles.
Caffeine Rage.
There we go. Excuse me. On today's show, we're going to be discussing some games that are rumored to be coming to Windows 10. Microsoft plans on making Crossbuy a thing now. Fallout 4 DLC has been detailed, at least somewhat. And there is a juicy rumor about the Warcraft movie. So, Rage, how you doing?
Oh, I've been better. It's been a rough couple days. Just these last couple days, I've been rather pissed off. And no, It wasn't about the gaming news, even though, some of that's kind of ticked me off as well. But we'll get into that more when we get to the games we played, because I played a game that's not a game.
A game that's not a game.
Yeah.
Did you play... Well, no. We'll get to it.
If you watch my Twitter feed, you know exactly what I'm going to be talking about.
I have been away from the Twitters the last few days. Like, I'll log on, or like I'll pop on like once a day and be like, oh, I was mentioned in like 20 tweets. Favorite. I don't know what it's like to be Biff. I used to always wonder why every once in a while I would get like 20 favorites from him. That's why. He just popped on once a day and favorited everything that he was tagged in.
I actually actively watch Twitter, so I'm not that bad, usually.
I like to pay attention. I've just had a lot of really busy days the last week.
Yeah, I've noticed that you've been kind of away from Twitter in general, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, should we announce what I've been working on recently when it comes to our Twitter presence?
Well, it's your thing, so...
yeah, we talked about this on show, what was this, 3-4 weeks ago?
It's been a while.
Yeah, about the Twitter presence on the show, and I'm getting a little off our beaten topic list. But I've realized that, okay, if you follow me, which I don't think it's really patting myself on the back to say I'm the main Twitter presence between the two of us.
You are right now, yeah.
And I realized that I throw out a lot of stuff that isn't related to the show. My own stuff, me ranting about various things. And I realized that people may not want to see that. And you've been a little absent lately, haven't you? You've just been busy.
I've been busy. Increased client load.
So I've built a official Twitter account for the show. It's at VGL Podcast. And hopefully by the time this episode goes live, it'll be fully operational. I have the account. I've had the account for over a week now. It's just I haven't taken the time to go in and do the art stuff and make it look pretty. That's why I didn't mention it last week.
Looks so pretty.
Yeah, you've seen the rough draft of the banner.
That thing does look sexy. Let me tell you. That's good looking.
Yeah, just wait till I actually put some work into it, because that was probably about 20 minutes between searching things.
It looks really good. I'm looking forward to you trying some of the things. Well, the one thing that you mentioned, I won't, just in case it doesn't make it in, I won't say it, but...
Yeah, it just depends on how things work.
Right.
But that should just take me just like an evening to be able to get everything working correctly. So if you want to follow what's going on with the show, either just pay attention to the hashtag, which we'll still use.
If you get it right.
Yeah, I typoed it doing an announcement just earlier, and Haywood Floyd actually caught it.
Yeah, I retweeted that because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I typed it out, looked at it, and it just went right past me that I typoed it. Oh. That was so stupid.
Well, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've read my tweets before, I make plenty of typos. Part of them are because I tweet a lot from my phone and autocorrect catches stuff, but...
Well, most of mine are just because I'm a horrendous speller.
I was going to say, the other part of mine is I'm just a bad speller. But, you know.
I spell good.
I spell good.
And that's G-U-D. So how have you been?
Not too shabby. Busy, especially busy this week. Just had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life and my work life. So, yeah. But I'm working on freeing up some more time and changing some things around so that I can be more present in places. I'm quite mad at Eve.
Oh boy.
We're going to get into some stories.
Let's go ahead and go into the games we played, and let's go with you first since you've already brought up Eve.
Oh, you want to hear my Eve stories?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting.
Okay.
Eve is the game that I never want to play, but I love hearing about. Most of the time.
So, all right, we'll start with the good, and we'll descend into the hatred. All right.
I have my container of salt ready.
So good things this week. I got a couple of the skill injectors, and those things are handy. They're expensive, but handy to boost through a whole bunch of really low-level stuff as a relatively new character.
Yeah, only problem is that they have a label on them not to be taken orally.
Well, you got to shove them up your butt. I mean, that's how it works. That's where all your skill points go in the future. Like, all of it's stored in your butt. But so anyways, I boosted past a whole bunch of low-level stuff, and thinking I should have used them in a more specialized manner now, but I was like, yeah, I'll take 30 days off my skill training time. And then I went, oh, I probably should have arranged that a little better. But it's all right. It gave me a bunch of boosts on a whole bunch of stuff. My alt account joined a corporation with 2 people in it. And because my alt account was made like 2 years ago, and these 2 people like started playing at the first of the new year, they're like, yeah, you're amazing. You've played for a long time, and you're really nice to us. And like I'm like going like, yeah, I've played for a really long time. Yeah. But they like made me. I've got shares in this corporation, and they gave me some stuff like incentivized me to stick around and help them, and I was going to stay anyways, but I was like, yeah, I'll take the free stuff, sure. But they're pretty cool. I'm looking forward to doing some stuff with them because, and here comes the descent.
Oh boy, here we go. I have the salt ready.
My corporation, my primary one that I've been talking about for a few weeks now, that's constantly at war, is at war again. I can't remember if we were at war when we recorded the last podcast.
No, you weren't. You actually were out of war, and if I recall correctly, before I kind of dozed off, your corporation headquarters moved or something. Yes. And after that, it's kind of a blank.
We moved our corporation headquarters a long way away, like 20 jumps away from where we were, kind of out to the middle of nowhere. Because
I think you have to go 10 jumps to get to the middle of nowhere from that.
Shut up. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we're out in the middle of nowhere. We're like, yes, we're going to spend some time building up our industry and making some money back. No wars. Oh, hey, let's join this other corporation because it would be fun to form an alliance with them. And that's not me saying that. That's our glorious leaders.
Fearless leader.
They joined they formed an alliance with a PvP corporation.
Oh.
So immediately we go to war. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, you guys are cool. I know you from, from a corporation I used to be in. We'll join your corporation or, ally with your corporation. And we'll provide you with industry and money and resources, and you provide us with protection. And then that corporation immediately gets into a war with someone else, and because we're in an alliance, we get drug into a war. This was like Thursday. So
just a Thursday for Eve, I guess.
Yeah. So I log on after this has happened, like unbeknownst to me, and I've got 2 letters in my inbox. One of them is the standard, like, your corporation has 24 hours to prepare for war with this other corporation. I was like, oh my gosh, we got war decked again all the way out here.
You're looking for something sharp to slit your wrist with?
Yeah, I'm like looking at my desk like, that's kind of dull, but I think it'd get the job done if I saw it away hard enough. And then I open the other letter, and it's our corp's CEO, and he's like, hey, we allied with this other corporation, and they went to war, and because we're allies with them, we went to war. So get ready for war, guys. And so...
Did you respond with a nice formal letter saying, "You dumbass"?
I did not do that then. But
I have a feeling it's going to be coming.
So I just buggered out. Like, I left the system. I took all of my stuff and left and moved it to another station with the only other person in the corporation that I like really trust, to be honest with, because in EVE you got to play your cards close to your chest, but there's one guy in our corporation that I actually trust.
Yeah, I've seen the trailers of it's basically like Dickory the MMO.
Right. So he's got a station, and he and I have been working on some projects that we've been keeping secret from the corp because, I mentioned a few weeks ago that, like, since when we were on, like, our third war deck in a row, maybe that was 2 weeks ago. But anyways, I mentioned that, like, me and another guy in the corporation were starting to talk about whether or not we should leave and what we could do because we were getting tired of all this constant fighting. It's that guy.
Okay.
And there's someone in our corporation that listens to the podcast, so I'm not going to say any names, and I do apologize, Rach. We're about to lose a subscriber when I finish the story.
Oh, boy.
But,
how dare you? I mean, we're only sitting on, what, like 30-some? They're precious.
34.
Precious.
I'll throw this one out. I'll take the blame for throwing this one out. But, so he and I are having this conversation, and we're like, look, this sucks. We're tired of this. We should start doing our own thing, like making preparations to do our own thing. And so we've been going behind the back of the corporation, and we have been siphoning resources out and funneling them into our own project, because he's an officer in the corporation.
Oh,
and
boy.
I have, like, a position. I'm not an officer, but I have access to some of the corporation's stuff. So we've been funneling out resources to get ready to go off on our own project. And we're saying that we're staging a coup. Technically, we're not, because we're not going to overthrow the leadership. But
can you actually do that?
You can vote out a CEO, but the thing is that there's only 4 of us in the corporation that are willing to band together and do this. Everyone else is like, it'll be fine. We'll get out of wars eventually. But our CEO is obviously an idiot. So we're doing this on the side, and we have a corporation op over the weekend where the people that bailed us out of our last major war, because we had to get help, we are supposed to mine ice for them for a while. I'm not quite sure what our quota is, but it's pretty big. We were supposed to have an organized event for that, like on TeamSpeak and everything. So we all show up. We're sitting there waiting on our CEO because he's the one who's got access to, like, all of the big toys in the corporation.
CEO dumbass.
Yeah. Like, there's a ship called an Orca, which is not, like, ultra expensive, but it's still pretty expensive. And in our corporation, there's only 2 people that have them, and the corp leader is the only one that's on regularly, the CEO. Yeah. So he's supposed to be on with the Orca to meet us for all of our mining boosts and storage. He's late. He's way late. And so he pops on TeamSpeak, and he's like, hey, guys, sorry I'm late. I forgot. And I was like, in chat, I was like, you forgot? You set up this corp event like a week ago, and we've been out here limping along with no boosts and no one to haul our ice back, trying to meet the quota to get us out, to pay off the people that got us out of the war that you got us in the last time, and you forgot? And he was like, hey, man, you better watch your tone. And I was like, or what? You'll kick me out of the corp? And he's like, I might. And I was like, I don't care. Go ahead. Boy. Kick me out. And he didn't say anything for a minute. And he was like, I'm just going to give you a reprimand this time. Because this is your first offense. And you've been real good to us. But if you do it again, I'm going to kick you out. So I was like, whatever. I'm gone. I've been wasting my time too long. I got to go do something that actually makes me some money. So I left TeamSpeak and I left the fleet. Went and did my own thing for the rest of the night. And then he's also talked down to my partner, whose name I won't mention. I'm sure King and Fear, you guys will figure it out soon enough. Because by the time this airs, we're going to have a split off with roughly, I don't know, $1.5 billion worth of resources.
A little piracy?
To start our own base.
That they'll have no idea where it is, hopefully.
No, we're not. I'm not going to say that on air. Just thanks for the investment, guys.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
But so yeah, those are. Oh, and I have one more story that's kind of unrelated. Well, sort of related, but I got so mad that I had to. I actually rage quit the game.
Taking my name now, are we?
Yes, I took your name in vain. So I was playing, and we're at war. So this is kind of tangentially related. I was minding my own business, listen to a podcast. War target pops in system. I was like, oh, time for me to get out of here. Because, I mean, I'm just in a little mining barge. I don't stand a chance in anything that he brought. So I go to warp to the station. There's only one station in system, and so that's going to be important here in a minute. There's only one station in system. The only way I know I'll be safe is I can warp to the station and dock before he catches me. I saw him as soon as he popped into the system, so I was like, okay, I should have enough time to warp to the station, dock up. Click the station, click warp. He pops into where I was mining just as I warp out. I was like, yay, I made it. I'm going to escape. It was like cutting it close. He got within targeting range as soon as my warp drive activated, so any slower, he could have yanked me out of warp with a warp inhibitor, and then I would have been dead. So I'm warping a station. Everything's good. And I very definitely, positively, 100%, I know I did this. I clicked dock on the station, which means that you warp to within 1,000 meters, give or take, and then you fly close enough to the station to dock, which is within 250 meters.
Mm-hmm.
I thought if I get really unlucky, he'll get there before I'm docked, but I will survive his opening salvo or two. And that's all I need, 10 seconds to dock once I come out of warp. So it's 1,000 meters, plus or minus a few hundred. The farthest I've ever popped out away from station is about 1,500 meters. And I think it varies by ship size, because my battleship always lands a little bit farther away from the station than a frigate or a shuttle does. So I'm like, yeah, even if I land at 1,500 meters, I've got enough time to get there. I drop out of warp 4.5 kilometers away from the station.
Wow.
And I am like, shit. Many, many swear words. I might beep that out, actually, because we're family friendly and all that. But many, many swear words were used. And I'm smashing the warp button to warp to a jump gate or something to get away, desperately. He pops up, locks me out of warp. Yeah, he's like, sup. Pops up, locks onto me, hits me with warp inhibitors, and then just blasts me out of space in 15 seconds. I ejected and I ran away and I made it to safety, but I was so mad. I don't know if it was lag. I don't know if it was some kind of glitch. I don't know if I just rolled the worst possible RNG roll at that moment. I was so mad. I typed 1,000-word essay of rage to my friend that we're stealing all of our corpse resources from. This huge message to him.
Your fellow pirate.
Yeah. Arr. But huge message explaining the whole thing and why I was mad and why I was going to be gone for the afternoon. And I sent it to him, and then I just logged out. I haven't been that mad at a video game in, I don't know, years.
Oh, just sucks that you die to RNG like that.
Yeah.
And trust me, I've played many games that cost you just, you're rolling correctly and you're dead.
Yep. So yeah, those are my Eve stories for the week. The only other game I played was, I guess I played Winning Putt a few times. And then we played Snow on stream one night.
Snow was a little boring.
Yeah, it's okay in single player mode, and multiplayer's fine for a little bit, but after how long did we actually play multiplayer? An hour, maybe?
Yeah, we played about an hour, and I think we were getting bored at about the 30-minute mark.
Yeah. We just kept exploring. I think if we had more people with us, it would have been a little bit more fun, but not because of the gameplay. It would have been because of the conversation. But it's a very pretty game. And
you seem to like the VR first person, even though you don't have VR.
I really
first
like the
person mode.
Yeah, I really like the first person mode. It's got, like you just said, VR support for a first person camera view, and it's actually fairly immersive even without VR.
Yeah, you really get a good sense of speed in it. Like I talked about, 2-3 weeks ago now?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago. But
yeah, I was not expecting to unleash winning putt onto everyone, though.
yeah, that replaced Warframe for a Wednesday night stream, at least for a little while. But yeah, the only thing that I have to say about the first person camera is that it is a bit disorienting whenever you go doing flips and tricks and stuff. And also it kind of was starting to give me motion sickness because of the way that it bobs around.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with a VR headset, so it actually is tracking your head instead of doing the default, it wouldn't be nearly as bad.
Yeah, I would say that it wouldn't be as bad with VR, but I felt like it was extremely immersive even without a VR headset. It was just really well done. It's very polished in terms of graphics.
Yeah, now only if they could put content into it.
If only. But, we'll revisit it again at some point in the future and see if they've added some more stuff to it.
Yeah, give it a few years and check it before it comes out early access again, like most early access games, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that's it for the games that I played this week.
Okay, well, I guess I should go into the actual one game that I spent some time on outside the usual, which was I got back to Civ 5 for an evening.
Good. Finish that game.
I still have probably about 3 or 4 days worth of gameplay to get into, just because they really slowed down the late game a lot more than I expected. This is actually one of the few times that I've gotten this far into a game of Civ without just being in a position like, okay, I win. No need to carry on, or I'm too far behind, I've lost, and forget it.
Right.
But I've gotten the ability to build 2 pieces of the spaceship now.
Good.
And I have, I'm working on the next piece. I have the booster and the cockpit, which are usually the first 2 you get anyway. And I'm working towards, I think, the engines. One of the 2, but one of the 2 other pieces that you need to really build. But I'm a fair bit away from those just because the way they have the tech tree designed, if you rush the Apollo program to unlock the spaceship,
yeah,
you're unlocking the first 2 pieces, and then you're quite a bit away from the others. But I am very science-based, so it shouldn't take me that long to get in. And plus, I also have 2 alternate win conditions now that I'm working on, which I wasn't actually intending on, but I'm actually in a position to work on them. I'm working on... Yeah, it's a pretty much victory for me, unless something bad happens, which I'll get to in a minute, which it may be possible.
Okay.
I have
Can't wait to
the
hear
science
that.
victory. I have a democratic victory that I'm pretty far along on. The UN is in session now, and I need 32 votes in order to be able to be elected world leader, which is a win condition. And I'm sitting on 24 delegates. So, and every time the world leader comes up, the voting for it, which is automatic and happens, I think, every 20 turns, the top 2 positions get an extra 2 delegates. So it's basically a timer at that point.
Okay.
And I'm in the lead delegate-wise by a fair margin. Because in the information age, my city-state alliances are giving me extra delegates as well, so I'm actually in a very good position for a democratic victory if the science victory falls apart. And the third win condition I'm working on is actually a culture victory. I've unlocked the ability to make archaeologists, which is another Brave New World feature, which the UN is also Brave New World.
So you've got Indiana Jones.
Actually, yeah. There's actually an achievement for an American archaeologist to get a artifact within 2 tiles of a German archaeologist. And it's in the the achievement, I think, is what it belongs in a museum.
That's amazing.
You pretty much have to set that up, though, because there's no way you're doing that randomly.
Well, I mean, you could, but the chances would be...
Very slim.
Yeah.
So I'm working on my win conditions, even though it's probably not wise to be working on 3 of them. The Democratic one is pretty much just automatic once you are in a position for it. And I have my spy network setting up in 5 different city-states to maintain my allegiances, which the Ottomans are really pissed about. I should go over my opponents, by the way. I have the Ottomans, Rome, Japan, and Sweden. Kinda.
Kind of?
Yeah, the Ottoman Empire kind of sent an armada past me and wiped out the Swedes.
Those poor Swedish.
I mean, well, you've seen how the AI plays, so you'll see just this giant wall of units.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, I thought, oh shit, and I started moving my entire defensive force. Because the way I'm working on an archipelago map, as we talked about 2 weeks ago when I last played this game.
Right.
So my army is pretty much divided up into the different islands. I'm holding like half a dozen different islands of varying sizes, but my main one has 4 or 5 cities on it, and it's actually fairly large, so have a fairly decent self-defense force there. I started moving all the units to the west coast of it to repel an invasion, and I just click in turn, and I just watch the entire fleet sail right past me and into the Swedish waters, and see the Ottomans declare war on the Swedes.
Those poor Swedish.
Let's just put it this way. They're down to 1 city, and it isn't even their capital. They lost their capital, and they've been exiled to this little crappy island by the Ottomans.
Well, at least they're not extinct. They can, they might mount their comeback horse. You never know. I mean, Germany did it.
Yeah, that worked out so well for them.
Yeah. I mean, they gave it a good second go. And there goes our child-friendly tag. Promoting Nazi Germany. That's gotta be up there with bad things that makes you lose it, right?
I'm surprised we held on to it for so long.
Yeah. Still there, last time I checked.
And to make it even funnier, what's basically everyone's dogpiling on the Swedes because about 10 turns afterwards, I saw the beginnings of a Japanese armada, and I thought, oh shit, now they're coming out. They're surely going to come after me because I'm the point leader by a significant margin, and the way the AI works is that if you are in the lead by a fair enough margin, or they feel like they're too far behind to really try to get a victory position outside of just domination, they'll declare war on They'll declare war on you and just try to overthrow you, hoping that they could take a city or two and slow you down.
Right.
And I click in turn after moving my defensives as close as I can to there, and I have actually a battleship while they're in like little ironclad. They're not even ironclads; they're in like corvelles and sailing ships. And there's just battleship watching them just sail right by to Swedish waters.
Oh, those poor Swedes.
Yeah, it was quite amusing. But I'll get into why I think I'm not in the greatest of positions yet.
Okay.
Okay, we've gotten to the atomic age. We're in the age of information. And uranium is a rare resource.
Right.
As it probably should be because of civilization, kind of using uranium to blow one another up. Especially if you're Gandhi. Thankfully, no Gandhi this time around. So I get satellites as like the last tech that I got before Quality on Night. And I look on the map, and there's 3 sources of uranium. One is a city-state that is heavily, heavily invested into by the Ottoman Empire. There's no way I'm getting that. So the Ottomans have uranium. And pretty much will have it unless I go overthrow that city-state, which will cause a war because they're allies and have defensive pack, and yeah, no way I'm getting that without causing a lot of trouble. Second uranium is deep in the heart of Japan. So as soon as the Japanese get the Manhattan Project done, they'll have nukes. So I look around, and there's one last one left. And it's this little sliver of land sitting between two city-states. So I buy a settler, and I rush them over there, and I just put down a little outpost city, and I get the last uranium. So the three leading powers, myself, which has the tech lead, the Ottoman Empire, which has the largest empire, and the Empire of Japan, all have access to uranium. So things are going to get fun because I think we each have access to 4 units of it.
So that means you can build 4 bombs or 2 ICBMs.
Yeah. Or 4 death robots. Which is the high-end land unit. But honestly, with this map, land units are more a defensive unit than anything else, unless you're actively invading a city. But even then, you're bombarding a city from the ocean and just sending in the unit to capture it.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. Thankfully, I was able to solve my problem with aluminum.
Aluminium?
Yeah, aluminium, as Amy would say it. And litho breaker. And I actually found out there was a building in Brave New World that they added that I didn't know about that made it so that it would generate aluminum 10 units across your entire empire, even if you had no access to it, which is nice.
Yeah, that's nifty.
It's a very high-end building, though, so it's like 2 away from the end of the tech tree or 1 away from the end of the tech tree. So it is very, very high-end. You're not going to get that anytime soon, but if you're resource choked, it's an option.
Right. Options are good.
Yeah, and as the game progresses, hopefully I'll get back into it this week. The other thing I did kind of put me out of the mood of playing games in general. I'll get to the end of the game, and I'm still going to go for the spaceship, but I'm kind of considering the democratic victory. The cultural victory is still a long ways off, though, but it's like the third option. Right. But that's my Civ story, unless you have any questions about it.
Yeah. When are you going to finish it so we can play Sword of the Stars?
I'm working on it.
Okay. I believe you.
And here's the reason why I didn't work more on Civ was that the other game I played was, why the fuck is my recording system broken? And I guess you'll have to bleep that out.
That doesn't look like it's on Steam. Please tell me. And I know some of the story, but enlighten me with the rest of it.
Okay. Since we record these podcasts on Tuesday, and my old recording schedule was doing my YouTube recordings on Monday and Tuesday, I had to adjust things a little bit to kind of fit the podcast in. So I'm recording now on Sundays and Mondays. So Monday night, I fire up my recording software. Well, actually, it was Sunday night. Monday was me trying to fix it and being fruitless at it, but that's kind of giving away the end of the story. Sunday night, I fire up Binding of Isaac and OBS to record it because it doesn't play well with DxTory. It does some sort of weird thing where it plays at 60 FPS until I press record, and then it drops down to 7 for some reason. So I fire up OBS, start recording, do my opening spiel, go into the game, move a little bit, and realize, oh shit, this is going at 7 FPS. There's something wrong. Something updated somewhere and broke my recording settings.
I laughed when you told me the first time. I'm laughing again now. I'm a horrible human being.
Yes, you are. So I quit out everything and I start checking and trying to figure out where something's going wrong. I'm going through all my log settings, all my log files, going through my settings, double checking all my settings. Because something had to change somewhere to break this. Because I've been recording Binding of Isaac for about 115, 120 videos with the same exact settings. Nothing's updated. The game didn't change. it just broke. And I was so frustrated by it by the end of the day that I just ended up just killing some things in Warframe just to make me feel a little bit better. And I called it a night. Because I was just so pissed off. Yes, I rage quit.
Sometimes that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to rage quit, go kill stuff, then go to bed.
So Monday evening, I sit down and I try to figure this out. I revert OBS to the previous version, just in case there was some sort of stealth update, because I was looking at the change logs and saw that there was an update like 3 days beforehand. That didn't fix it. I started poking around online looking for all the suggested things to do, because Binding of Isaac is a little janky on AMD's hardware, which I unfortunately run. Well, I should say unfortunately in this case. It usually isn't that bad, and it was a bigger bang for the buck when I built the computer, so I can't really say unfortunately overall. Look, can't find anything. So I then go into OBS, and I find the new version of OBS. They kind of they did a split where they rebuilt OBS from the ground up, called it OBS Studio.
Uh-huh.
I download that, and I start working with it. And I'm able to get the recording where a second of game time is taking 1.5 seconds of real time. Still completely unplayable, though, So I'm just beat. I don't know what broke it, but that's pretty much the end of Binding of Isaac on my channel now, because I don't know what else to do. And that's why I really haven't played anything else, was I spent 2 evenings trying to fix this.
Right. Well, what you need to do is pray to Lord Gaben to fix your problem.
Yeah, but Gaben's kind of become the Antichrist with, some of the practices of Steam lately. I guess if you live long enough, the heroes become villains, huh?
What is it? You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain?
Yeah, gotta love the foreshadowing in that one, huh?
Yeah. Poor Gaben, though. He's probably doing all right, though. Bathing in his billions.
Yeah, I'm sure his money bin will keep him company. He Scrooge with ducks every night, just bathes in money.
So impractical, though. That would never work. I remember watching that cartoon as a kid and being like, yeah, that's awesome. And then, one day I was old enough, the switch flipped, and I was like, if he actually dove into a huge pile of gold, he would just break his neck.
Oh, it works because he's a duck.
It works because he's a cartoon.
It works because he doesn't wear pants.
I don't always wear pants.
Well,
in fact, I don't hardly ever wear pants.
Especially during your therapy sessions.
I'm not wearing pants right now.
Oh, my.
Oh,
and goodbye, kid-friendly rating.
Goodbye, kid-friendly rating. Goodbye, how many subscribers do you think we lost for that one? 5? 10?
I'm going 20.
Oh, man. You're aiming high. I don't think that my white legs would offend that many people. Although maybe the rest of the bits down there would do the offending. Anyway.
But yeah, that's why I haven't really played that much. And if you follow me on Twitter, you saw me just ranting. Right. Just this long, half dozen tweets of me just being highly pissed off. Because there was no reason why it should break. Right. I totally get that. And this is, and I have 2 weeks of Binding of Isaac episodes left, and I may try again another evening, but I think Wednesdays and Saturdays are going to be free nights now for our little project when we eventually get around to it. Right. Our super secret project. I'm looking forward to that. I did spend a little time on that this weekend. Just messing around some more. Nothing too major. I still need to bone up on my research. I haven't done that yet. It's on my to-do list. Research for the secretive project. Which we'll eventually get to. And then there's, of course, the very open project that I'm pushing for, which is, let's see, what can we say? Let's say, #Sword of the Stars. Yeah, but in order to do that, I need to get through Civ first, and then
Exactly.
actually sit down and bone up on Sword of the Stars, which will take me a while.
Yeah, the Sword of the Stars tutorial is pretty crap. The best thing to do is to just boot up the game. I guess do the tutorial just so you can get a basic grasp on the menus. That's about all the tutorial's good for. And then play a game against a very easy, stupid AI, and hope to the good Lord Almighty that you don't get artificial intelligence in your tech tree on your first go.
Dare I ask why?
So artificial intelligence is like, when it works, it's one of the best upgrades in the game. What it is that your civilization develops fully sentient AI, which gives all of your ships that you equip with the AI modules, like, it makes them all so much better. They respond better in combat, and they get all kinds of bonuses and all kinds of stuff because, it's kind of like in Halo with the AI that help out aboard the ships. If you read any of the lore, everyone is like, oh my gosh, the ship has an AI? Wow, that's amazing. Like, it can perform so much better. But there's
go Skynet?
There's a 50% chance that it can go Skynet on you. And it's not like it's a 50% chance every turn. Like, it's already set. Whether, like, as soon as you research the technology, the game flips a coin, 50-50 chance. Will it go Skynet or will it not? And if it will go Skynet, then after a random number of turns, which is more than 10, I've never had it happen to me on less than 10 turns, it goes Skynet, and you get a message that says, the AI ships have rebelled, and you're going to have to stop them. And then that portion of the tech tree becomes walled off, and you have to defeat the AI incursion.
Right.
Now, this makes it even better. After the AI incursion happens, you lose that branch of the tech tree because obviously, your sentient AI went crazy. But if they go crazy, once you put down the rebellion, there's a 50% chance that you can unlock. I forget what it's called, but it's something that I think it's called antivirus or something like that, and maybe AI virus.
Mm-hmm.
And you can develop that, and then it lets you use the AI tech again. And then it's like the way that in lore it works. It's like every so often they wipe all of the AI memory and start them anew. It's a really fun gameplay mechanic. I mean, it's a really big risk reward. You don't have to research and use the AI technology, but it's like, oh, if I don't get the rebellion, then I'm going to get amazing boosts from this.
Sounds more like something I would use if I was a bit behind as a sort of a catch-up mechanic and risk it then.
Well, the first time I used it, I didn't realize that they could go crazy and rebel. And so I used it, and I'm like, I don't know, 35 or 40 turns in, and I'm just getting, like, I've just built an assault fleet ready to assault the alien menace that was bearing down on my nearest system. So I've got a fleet of like 40 or 50 cruisers and like support ships and a couple of dreadnoughts and one ship that's designed to blow up planets. Like, it's a ship that its only weapon, like, it takes up the entire ship. It's a dreadnought. Its only weapon is an asteroid launcher. And like, you collect asteroids and launch them at planets. And then it's like,
the AI goes nuts and decides, yep. That Death Star that you just built, thank you.
Yeah, the AI rebels. It's like, oh, the AI rebellion has occurred. Many of your fleet was lost during the initial fighting. Now you have a rogue AI element. And it's like, oh, all of my ships use AI. Oh. And they very quickly slaughtered my border worlds. Like, within 3 turns, I lost every border world that I had. They all went dark.
Wow.
And I beat them. I beat the AI, but it cost me so much time and resources that I forget which alien I was playing. Like, I forget what they're called. They're bugs. They're like, think of like Starship Trooper bugs.
Buggers.
Yeah, they're buggers. They were knocking on my doorstep, and they were like, oh, hello. we're just going to take your planets now. Sad day. That was my second game, because I said that the tech tree was randomized. So my first game I didn't have it. My second game I had the AI. So yeah, Sword of the Stars. Fun game. Brutal. Sometimes. Is that it for the games that we played this week?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. We both had rants.
We did, yeah. So, moving swiftly on to our first news topic of the day. Games rumored to be coming to Windows 10. We've got a short list here. Forza Motorsport 6, Forza Horizon 3, and Gears of War 4 are all rumored games to be coming to Windows 10.
Yeah, this one was really surprising. Those are big system sellers.
They are. I think Microsoft has figured out that, hey, PC's not dead. It's actually a really big, important platform. We should probably make more money by selling stuff there.
Which is kind of nice, because they've only said that they wanted to support the PC platform, like the last, every year for the last decade.
Yeah. I personally love Forza. As weird as it may sound to a lot of people, like, Forza is one of the games that sells me on Xbox. Like, I love racing games. I love racing sims. And Gran Turismo is a bit too boring for me. Like, it's a great sim, but Forza's got the car customization. It's got a much better online multiplayer mode. Excuse me. It's got a much better kind of, not really story, but there's like a lot more fun content in the story. Like, basically Gran Turismo is menus. It's like, go through the menu, pick the car you want. Go through the next menu, pick the race you want to enter the car in. Now go through the menu, and do you want to make any tweaks to your car? And
go through the menu and take your driving test. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I hate the driving tests in Gran Turismo. I hate them. But that's beside the point. And then Forza, it's like, oh yes, now you're entered into the World Grand Prix, and it's week 1 of the tournament, and you're going to Belize, to the racetrack in Belize, and it's this class, so pick your car. And it's like, you go to this like really beautiful garage, and you can pan through all of your cars, and it's basically, Forza is car porn with a really good physics engine. And then Gran Turismo is spreadsheet porn with cars in it. That's how I feel about the games.
You don't like Gran Turismo Y again?
It's not Eve.
I think I caught you off guard there.
Oh my gosh. Okay, one more thing. We're going to jump back for a second. I forgot about this. I actually made a legitimate spreadsheet in Eve this week.
Oh boy.
Like, an Excel spreadsheet to keep up with some stuff about the whole, making the coup. Mm-hmm. We put together a list of things, and I was like, I'll just put those in a spreadsheet. And I was making a spreadsheet, and I thought of you, and I was like, I'm going to have to tell Rage I actually made an actual spreadsheet for Eve. But anyways, yeah. So I'm really happy that Forza will be coming to PC. Well, not will be, is rumored to be, and hopefully is a true rumor.
Yeah, to be fair, the last rumor that we really talked about on here, bring up a little bit something from the past, the Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs rumor turned out to be true.
Yeah. So you heard it here, folks. We only report true rumors. Fingers crossed that this one's true.
Yeah, these are big system sellers, like I've said, and games that I never thought would come to PC, at least these iterations.
Right. I think that both Forza games give this a little bit more credence. Because if it was just one of the Forzas, I'd go...
Or just saying Gears of War, which we're kind of skipping Gears of War, to be honest.
Yeah, we're not really talking about that much yet.
Yeah, Gears of War 4 is kind of interesting, because are the other ones outside of 1 on PC at all?
Not to my knowledge.
Is there an overarching story to Gears of War, or is it really episodic?
No, there's an overarching story to the first 3 Gears of War.
So it's sort of bringing up a new story with Gears of War 4.
Yeah, Judgment Day, which was the fourth one, was kind of a prequel to the first Gears of War, but you could play Judgment Day completely by itself and would be fine in terms of the other story. Like, it's really self-contained.
So, what part does Arnold play?
He's General Rom.
Oh, all right. I'll pretend I know who the hell that is.
Have you never played Gears of War?
I played a little bit of the first one years and years and years ago.
Right.
And I don't really remember much of it except, chest high walls.
I love Gears of War. Way back in the day, like when I was in high school and the first Gears of War came out. First of all, I was on the top 100 board online for one of the game modes. I want to say it was Assassination, which I will say that was the smallest mode with the least amount of players, but still, I was in the top 100 on that board. Actually, I think I was in the top 20. I can't remember to be 100%, but I definitely was in the top 100. And
let's just say that you were the top one. You were the best one out there.
I was the best. I was number one in the world. And I put together a team that actually won a local tournament and got some money.
Oh, nice.
Back when games boutiques were a thing, and like you could go to the mall and go into this place and just, I want to play an Xbox for a couple of hours with my buddies, and you give them like $20.
That was never a thing here.
Oh. Well, they were a thing here. There was one in each of the malls that are close to where I live. Now they're gone.
Yeah, casualty of, games consoles being more open, I guess.
Yeah, and I think online play becoming more ubiquitous.
Yeah.
But, Gears of War. I think that would be a good PC fit. Gears of War was
assuming it's a good port, of course.
I want to say that Gears of War 1 ran at 60 FPS. I want to say that. Let me do a quick Google search so I'm not just talking out of my butt here.
Well, there's a first.
Yeah. Gears of War 1, 60 FPS.
I mean, this was before the whole cinematic revolution, so it may have ran at 60.
Yeah, and there were several games that for the Xbox 360 and the PS4 that ran at 1080p 60. Not a lot, but a few.
How could people stand to see that? I mean, to be fair, they were wasting half their computing power because the human eye can't see past 3 FPS.
You can't see past 24 FPS. That's the cinematic experience, 24.
Well, why do you think everyone didn't like The Hobbit at 48 FPS?
I actually really liked The Hobbit at 48 FPS. I loved it. Let's see. The remaster and the PC version both run at 1080p 60. I'm not seeing the original Xbox 360 version, whether or not it ran at 1080p 60 FPS. So I could be mixing up the Ultimate Edition with the original, because the Ultimate runs at 60 FPS, but I swear I've heard somewhere that Gears of War 1 ran at 60 FPS on the 360. I think it was 720 60.
Yeah, it really shocks me how everything went 60 FPS, 60 FPS. 30 FPS is good enough.
I'm going to quit looking because I'm just going to waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure this out.
Do we really have a lot to say about this, though? This is just rumor milling at this point.
Okay, I have a question for you. As someone who hasn't played console games in many years, would you be excited to see some of these games come to Windows 10?
I'm intrigued by the Forza series. I haven't played them at all. But
okay.
It being a Windows 10 exclusive kind of deters me a little bit, just because it's tie into the next story. Well, kind of bring this forward a little bit. They're going to likely tie this to the Windows Store, which is yet another account to maintain.
Well, not exactly. I mean, yes, but for people like me who already have an Xbox Live account, it's the same. I can open the... excuse me, unable to use words. I can open
Speak
up...
well, you do not.
Yeah, speak well, I do not. I can open up the Windows Store on my laptop, which has Windows 10 installed, and I'm signed in with my gamer tag. And I can see, all of my Xbox 360 and Xbox One games.
If it's the same account as Games from Windows Live was, which was technically an Xbox account.
Yeah.
But then I do have one.
Games for Windows Live.
I guess I'm just so tired of having my library fractured into... This will be the 6th major account that I would have to maintain. Because I would have Steam, Origin, Uplay, GOG, and Desura already. And that's not even counting odd sites like Green Man Gaming, itch.io, things like that. I can't sit down and look at my entire library. I have to go to like half a dozen or probably overall a dozen different places to be able to see my entire library. So that does put me off a little bit of just having it be somewhere else once again. Right. I'm not saying that it has to be on Steam for me to be interested in it. Actually, quite the contrary, even though I typically just buy things on Steam mostly because I get money from trading cards there and, a little bit of extra spending money there. And, it's free money, essentially.
Yeah. I do have an Origin account. I do have a Uplay account. I do have a GOG account. But the thing is I don't really have any games on any of those platforms. I just have accounts. And so I don't really have a fractured library. Everything is either on Steam or I've got, a few games that just have their own launchers. I guess technically Blizzard's...
Okay, let me think. I have approaching 1,000 games on Steam, which is by far the meat of my library. I have probably like 3 or 4 on Uplay, about 24 on Origin, mostly through their on-the-house giveaways. Through different bundles, I probably have about 36 on Desura. Then I actually have a press account on itch.io, so that's kind of muddles what my actual library is and what I have just access to.
Right.
So I'm a little bit more fractured, even though the meat of my stuff is still on Steam.
Yeah. I'm happy about it. Like I just said, I've got a few other accounts.
Yeah, I am intrigued just to see how it does. And something that I would like to see would be cross-platform play, especially on the Forza series. I don't think they would do that on Gears of War. They would have to be stupid to do that.
I don't know. Have there ever been any cross-platform third-person shooters? FPS, keyboard and mouse wipes the floor with a controller every time. But would it be also do that in third-person shooter? I mean, I'm inclined to say yes, but I don't know. I know there was one Shadowfall, I think it was. But I can't remember if it was... Shadowfall was first-person shooter.
Yeah, okay, it was first-person, but it doesn't change that much, just the camera position.
Yeah, I guess the thing that I'm thinking about is Gears of War's mechanics. Since it's a cover-based shooter, I wonder how much a keyboard and mouse would really
you would be able to
advantage.
snap to different targets very quickly.
Probably, I suppose...
unless there's some sort of auto-swap with a controller. Far quicker than you would be able to with a controller.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that in comparison to an FPS, the advantage would be a little bit less, but yeah.
Well, just look at when we play Warframe. The difference between me and you playing control with keyboard and mouse compared to our friends who are playing with controllers.
That is a good point. I completely forgot about Warframe having controller support.
Yeah, and us wiping the floor damage-wise.
Yeah, we outplay them every time we play. Especially you. But
that's partly because of the Warframe I typically play.
Yeah, you're super offensive. Which also lines up with your personality. Heyo. Anyways.
Me playing the Berserker?
Yeah. offensive rage. But I think that leads us nicely into our next topic, which is, unless you have anything else you want to say.
Not really. There's not a lot to say about this outside of it's more of a wait and see situation.
Right. Well, this other thing I think leads a lot of credence to the rumor, which is Microsoft plans on making Windows 10 and Xbox One crossbuys a thing. Crossbuys are...
Yeah, we should probably say what crossbuys are.
Yeah, crossbuys have been around for a while now. Someone might have done it before Sony, but Sony's the one that comes to mind. Basically,
Valve technically, but it was the Sony platform. If you bought Portal 2 on PlayStation 3, you got it on Steam as well.
Right. But so yeah, that's basically what a crossbuy is. You buy it on one platform and you get it on another one, sometimes multiples. And Sony does this a lot with PSP, not PSP, the PS Vita. You buy a game.
Does it really matter? Is there anyone playing that anymore?
People who
besides Biff.
People who like JRPGs and Biff. I mean, that's basically what the Vita is now: a JRPG machine and an anime bullshit game.
And a Biff machine.
And a Biff machine. But yeah, you buy a game on the Vita platform. You can also play it on your PS3 or your PS4, and then vice versa sometimes. Depends on what the game is. But Microsoft is looking at doing this with the Xbox One and the Windows 10 store PC market.
Yeah, which is why I was talking about Forza and Gears of War being likely tied to the Windows store. If this and the other thing both come to fruition.
Right. I have a few things that I want to say about this.
Well, I will say one thing is that this is something that Microsoft really has needed to do, is add some sort of value to their games, because they have lost so much market share with the Xbox One. Let's just put it this way. The Xbox One, the name is very fitting in some markets because that's pretty much what they've sold. One.
The Xbox One definitely lost market share to Sony, but I don't think that they're doing awful. Them and Sony kind of swapped places since the last console cycle.
Oh, wow.
In the last one, Xbox came out swinging, came out on top, and Sony started out way behind, and then very slowly over the course of the entire console generation got a lot closer. They didn't quite catch up to Xbox, but they got a lot closer.
Sony didn't do themselves any favors by making the PS3 very hard to code for. So
no, they made the PS3 weird.
Yeah, it was very tough to be able to get good games on it. Not saying that there wasn't good games early on, but it was a lot more difficult for developers to do so.
Right. And then with this generation, Sony came out swinging. They're in the lead. Microsoft started out way behind. And
after shooting themselves in the foot with all the pre-release stuff.
They shot themselves in one foot with the Kinect, which I still love, but I acknowledge most people hate.
Yeah, and then shot themselves in the other foot with the possibility of being always online and having no used game possibility.
Right. But Phil Spencer came, bandaged up the feet, and they've been making up lost ground.
Hobbling along.
They've not caught up to Sony. I doubt that they'll catch up to Sony this console cycle, but they're doing fine. So we'll see where that goes. But anyways, like I was going to say, I have a couple things I want to say about this whole cross-buy thing. Now, I have heard, and this is a rumor, I have heard the rumor that PC games will not be in the cross-buy. So you buy a game on Xbox, you get it for Windows 10. But if you buy a game on Windows 10, you don't get it for Xbox.
Yeah, really de-emphasizing buying it on PC.
Right. Now, that makes sense for games that Windows 10 has on their store that are not actual Xbox games. I get it. That's fine. But if I buy Forza 6 on Windows 10, I also want to have it on my Xbox so that I can play on my Xbox occasionally if I want to, play on the big screen or whatever.
A very late train.
I don't hear the train.
Train, give it a moment.
Rolling right on time. Train, keep rolling.
Do you hear it now?
No. Oh. Yep. There's the whistle. Choo choo.
That's the latest I've ever had a train here.
That's loud. What was I saying? I lost my whole train of thought thanks to that train.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault that the train came through. I had just finished saying that.
Buying on Windows 10, it won't crossplay. It has to be the Xbox One version.
Right. Somehow I'll muddle all this back together. Anyways, I do get that I could just buy Forza 6 on my Xbox, and then I'll get it on PC. But, I mean, the thing is I'd just much rather buy it sitting at my PC than on my Xbox. It's just, I'm at my PC more. I use my PC more. For a convenience thing, I'd rather just buy it on my PC and then be able to play it on both platforms. And I can't.
Which I think I understand why they're doing it this way, is that they want the Xbox One sales over the PC sales.
Yeah, the thing is...
Even if they're cannibalizing the PC sales, right. They need to get market share back on the Xbox One, and this is how they are trying to do it. Right.
I don't know if this is the best strategy to get market share back on the Xbox One. Because the thing is if you make the games available on more alternative platforms, which I'm just going to, for argument's sake, I'm just going to call Windows 10 its own gaming platform.
Yeah. Just because it's kind of cut off from the rest of PC gaming, at least for now.
Right. So, I mean, basically, Microsoft is releasing another platform that is directly competing with their former platform. So, if this was somehow secondary or somehow ancillary to Xbox, and I have no idea how they can make that work, but somehow if it was, that's fine. But they are going to directly cannibalize a portion of their own audience. And they're not Blizzard. Blizzard does that all the time. And they've kind of made a science out of it. But Microsoft is not Blizzard. They are mostly manufacturing consoles when it comes to gaming.
And controllers. They have pretty much the golden standard on PC is controllers, with the Steam kind of becoming like a secondary thing now.
Yeah, that's true. They did get that one in there. But so I'm interested to see whether or not that's actually a rumor or if it turns out to be fact that if you buy a game on PC, you don't get it on Xbox. I hope that that's just a rumor, and that the fact is that if you buy one, you get it on the other, regardless of where you buy it.
Well, something else that was on this that really kind of makes me a little bit leery of this whole thing is the fact that, at least in the article, if I recall correctly, and I could be wrong on this, is that this offer for Crossbuys, at least the one that they're talking about in the article, is only for pre-orders.
Right.
And I am so distrusting of pre-orders, especially on something else that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. That we are pushing pre-orders so much. It is just absurd to me that the consumer base hasn't pushed back at this point.
I mean, I don't pre-order video games anymore. Now that I buy games all digitally, I don't pre-order jack.
Exactly. Same here. The only thing I've pre-ordered in the last 2 years has been something for my YouTube channel, and that's been it. And that doesn't even get. I don't think that even counts though. Just because it's for a different purpose other than just playing.
Right. I don't know. That's kind of a semantics argument, I think. Yeah. But and not pre-ordering games saves me a lot of heartache and money. I mean, I almost pre-ordered Deserts of Karak, Homeworld Deserts of Karak, which
it has a severe lack of players, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, for what it is, the story mode is great, from what I've heard, which is nice. But I mean, you can only play the story so many times before you're just like, okay, been there, done that. So the multiplayer,
nobody playing online.
Yeah, the multiplayer is anemic. Like, the AI is stupid, at least from what I've seen in all the reviews and Let's Plays and stuff.
Yeah, I saw Total Biscuit's video of it, and it was hilariously bad.
Yeah, and there are hardly any active players. So I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't pre-order that, because I would have gotten burned at that price point. I mean, for Homeworld, I'm willing to pay, a good solid $20 or $25 for the story alone. I mean, Homeworld is has historically had some of the best sci-fi video game writing ever.
Well, this also is a case of them just not marketing it.
Yeah.
The only place I even heard that this game was coming out was Total Biscuit's WTF Is. That's literally the only place I heard of it.
I mentioned it.
Well, not counting you.
I knew it was a thing. They marketed it to me, someone who's a diehard Homeworld fan. Although I didn't buy it, so I still haven't
I guess they didn't market it well enough.
Yeah. But, I mean, just don't pre-order video games. Total Biscuit released another video last week.
He released one today, like an hour or two ago, of a port report of Street Fighter V, and servers are an absolute mess. It's an always-on fighter, and it's missing some key features. It doesn't allow direct input. You have to use an Xbox One or 360 compatible controller in order to play the game.
That's rough on PC.
Yeah, if you're using a fight stick that has direct input, you're not using that unless you're doing some jerry-rigging.
Right.
And it has some key features that are rather missing. And that's not even getting into the gameplay stuff that he talked about, how they removed game features. It was just a port report. It wasn't this full WTF is that's going to be coming out in a few days. And I'm not a big fighting fan, but I enjoy hearing him talk, so yeah, it's always fun.
My favorite videos that he does are, I will now talk about whatever for 36 minutes.
Let's put it this way. This port report, I knew it was going to be fun when, after 5 seconds of it starting, it came up error, lost connection to servers.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. But we're a little off base. Just the whole idea of pre-ordering, and even though this is sweetening the pot and probably one of the best ways to sweeten the pot for someone that's going to buy the game anyway, which I still feel is very, very foolish.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a good deal for them, but it's still, you're pre-ordering a game that you have no idea what's going to happen. You can't even trust the pre-release stuff because the pre-release look at it from different marketing, or I shouldn't say marketing, but let's be perfectly honest. At the end of the day, a lot of games journalism is marketing these days.
Yeah.
But different games journalists looking at games, they rarely get the full picture, partly because multiplayer isn't implemented in their builds yet. Or they're playing with literally like half a dozen people on the server. That's the reason why SimCity, you heard absolutely nothing about the server woes until after the game released. Because there were no server woes, because there was maybe at best 200 people playing at a time, pre-release, just from journalists everywhere.
Right.
It just, once again, comes back to don't pre-order video games.
Don't pre-order video games. That's law. It's video game logic law. Do we have any laws yet, or is this our first one?
Well, it's also the motto of House Biscuit.
Yeah.
We do not pre-order.
All right, so this is going into our first law. This is, we decree here on Video Game Logic.
It is illogical to pre-order video games.
Yes, it is not logical to pre-order video games. Don't do it. It's illogical.
The only stipulation I give is if you are doing something else with it. If you're going to be playing it for yourself, don't pre-order. But if you're streaming it or you're doing YouTube videos, probably a good idea to pre-order to get the deals. That's my one stipulation.
My one stipulation,
and that's just because I know we have at least a few streamers and YouTubers that listen. Yeah.
My one stipulation is, for example, like collector's editions.
Yeah, collector's editions.
If you
sorry, go ahead.
If you really want the limited edition thing that they put in there, the statue or
the Pit-Boy,
or I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff that comes in collector's editions. Like
the 1-to-1 scale model of the Penetrator.
Yeah. So if you really want that stuff, okay. You know, if there's no other way to get it, fine. I get that. But
I always felt like the collector's edition stuff shouldn't include the game. It should be a thing that they offer after the game's released.
Like an upgrade or
like an
add-on
upgrade,
package.
like after Fallout 4 comes out, they offer the Pip-Boy and some goodies with it. Maybe include the season pass with it instead of the video game itself.
Right. That's actually a pretty good idea. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before. And speaking of Pip-Boys,
and season passes. Our
see
next
that awesome
topic
segue?
is until you ruined it. Is that Fallout 4 DLC has been detailed, and there's a season pass price increase to go along with it.
Right. Well, first of all, as always, I have to say I have a problem that I like to point out segues. I admit that I have a problem. I'm not seeking help for it because
just like your Eve addiction.
Just like I'm not seeking help for that problem. It's fine.
Very well, Mole.
So, what do you want to discuss first? Do you want to discuss the actual content?
Okay, let's discuss the content first because I think it ties into the price increase.
Okay.
We didn't get the full list of Fallout DLC. We got a taste of the things to come. We got 3 items out of the DLC menu, to put it one way. And I have to be perfectly honest, it's lacking. Would you agree?
I actually disagree. Not.
Oh, our first major disagreement? Are we having a spat?
Well, you know. I mean, every relationship has to have arguments. I'm not saying I'm not going to go all the way to the other side and think that it's like amazing content, but I do think that it's. I don't think that it's disappointing or anemic. It's just, you know, they didn't.
It's not what you would consider content from a Bethesda season pass.
Yeah, only a third of the content that we know about or that they told us about is kind of what I would consider like top end Bethesda DLC. Okay, let's just start at the top and work our way down.
Yeah.
The first one is Automatron, which it only has a little blurb underneath it.
Two of these only have little blurbs.
Yeah, but it says, I'll just read it since it's short. The mysterious mechanist has unleashed a horde of evil robots into the Commonwealth, including the devious Robo-Brain. Hunt them down and harvest their parts to build and mod your own custom robot companions. Choose from hundreds of mods, mixing limbs, armor, abilities, and weapons, like the all-new Lightning Chain Gun. Even customize their paint schemes and choose their voices.
And this could be yours if you do not buy the season pass for the low, low price of $9.99 US dollars. And only thing I could think of when I saw this was, I've seen this mod before. It was called Robco Certified for Fallout New Vegas.
Yes, it was a mod previously in a different game. I don't know if a mod exists for it in Fallout 4. I wouldn't be surprised if it does.
To be fair, they don't have the modding tools out for Fallout 4 yet. Still. It's been how many months now?
A few.
3-4 months now?
It came out in November, is that right?
I'm looking at the release date, November 10th.
Yeah, so November, December, January, February. Well, November, December, January. Yeah, 3-4 months. Shut up. Don't laugh at me. All right, fine, laugh at me. But
3 months, almost to the day.
But there are still plenty of mods that exist for the game, so there might be a mod out there that does this. Basically, this is a companion mod. That's how I feel about it. It's a companion mod.
It's your build your own companion mod, and honestly, it doesn't sound like it's something that's worth $10.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's worth $10 on its own. Depends on if this thing that says, the mysterious mechanist, like, if there's any story content behind that, even if it's just a couple hours worth of story content.
What people are reading into this is that it's basically just adding a bunch of Enemies to the Wasteland or whatever the Commonwealth is what they called it. I still haven't played Fallout 4.
I mean,
because I've been waiting for the Game of the Year edition, and this gives me even more credence to wait.
I mean, you can still say Wasteland. It's still a waste. Wasteland.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is a waste of a slot for the season pass.
Oh my gosh. I opened the door for that one. I can't blame anyone but myself. I mean, I think that this one is pretty neat, given the stipulation. Well, it's neat, but I think it's good.
It's neat, but it's not $10 neat. No,
unless, in my mind, they actually have some story content that revolves around this mechanist person. If that's just kind of like a MacGuffin to put robot enemies in the world and be like, oh, now you can build a mechanical buddy, then no, I don't think it's worth $10. I think $5 would be better if that's all it is. But
okay, should we move along to the second piece of content that they announced?
Yep, the second piece of content.
I'll read this one. It's
No,
Wasteland.
I have a joke.
Oh, okay.
I have a joke. The second piece of content is called Hearthstone. Or, I messed it up. Dang it, it's your fault. I blame you. The second piece of content is called Hearthfire for the Wasteland.
Actually, I was going to call it Thunderdome.
Thunderdome.
But I think we could get beyond Thunderdome.
You can read the description for this one if you want to. I just wanted to make my joke, which I delivered poorly.
And you're going to blame me for, aren't you?
Absolutely. I blame you. Or Biff. I could blame Biff.
Yeah, assuming that he ever shows up.
Inside jokes.
The Wasteland Workshop for the low price of $4.99 US. With the Wasteland Workshop, design and set cages to capture live creatures from raiders to deathclaws. Tame them or have them face off in battle, even against your fellow settlers. The Wasteland Workshop also includes a suite of design options for your settlements, like Dixie tube lighting, letter kits, and taxidermy, and more.
Yep. That's why I called it the Hearthfire expansion. For those of you who don't know, Skyrim had an expansion called Hearthfire where you built and decorated houses.
Yeah, and there was several mods that did it far, far better.
There were a lot of mods that did it far, far better, but I still enjoyed the Hearthfire mechanic in the base game.
But once again, okay, maybe the price is a bit better on this one just because it's $5, but even still, this isn't something that I would expect Bethesda DLC for. At least modern Bethesda. This is horse armor level stuff.
I don't know.
Okay, maybe not quite horse armor, but you know, it's more horse armor than it is Shivering Isles.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another DLC other than Hearthfire that Bethesda's produced that reminds me, or you know, that I think this is comparable to. But some
of the housing mods that they released for Oblivion.
That's what I was going to say. Some of the housing DLC that they released for Oblivion, I feel like kind of stacks up along this, along these lines. Those were, I think, like $2.99.
Yeah, those were cheaper, and you got them in the Game of the Year edition.
Yeah. I will say, though, that this does add a couple of things. It looks like basically they're letting you create an arena by capturing monsters and raiders.
Basically build Thunderdome.
Yeah, you can build Thunderdome. And that's pretty cool. I would have some fun messing around.
Yeah, but once again, mods would have already done this in previous Fallout games, and I would expect mods to do this better. And when the mod toolkit is released, assuming that it's not out there already. I haven't dug into the Fallout 4 modding yet because I haven't played the game.
I think that's the big difference between me and you when we're talking about this. You're looking at it at the perspective of someone who's definitely playing on PC and definitely using mods. I'm looking at this at the perspective of either the console player who doesn't have access to mods, despite the fact that Bethesda said that consoles would get mods, and also, there's plenty of people who play games on Steam that don't care about mods. They just want to buy their game and play it and move on to the next one. There's still people that want to do that, and so I'm kind of looking at this from that perspective.
Perhaps. I think the main thing that's kind of set me off on this, outside of the price increase, which we haven't even touched on yet, is that for Bethesda mods, these are so lackluster. Or I should say for Bethesda DLC, not Bethesda mods. these do not live up to the stuff that we expect from the other Fallout games. Even Mothership Zeta is better than this.
Yeah, Mothership Zeta was pretty decent expansion, actually.
Yeah, but it was probably the weakest. Maybe Anchorage was the weakest for Fallout 3. And it blows both of these out of the water.
Yeah, but the big difference between those is that they were story expansions. Yeah. And I get what you're saying, that these aren't the same caliber, but they're not, at least they're not masquerading as story expansions. They're just like, hey, here's some fun content you can play with and customize and do some neat stuff with. The next one, though, that's the story expansion.
Yeah, this is the only one that I think is worthy of being on the Season Pass.
And it is Far Harbor. It's got a slightly longer blurb for it, but the gist of it is Valentine, you work on a case with... Yeah. Well, I mean, that's his name is Valentine. Nick Valentine. Mm-hmm. But anyways, you work a case with him to go find this woman. I mean, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, it's a different plot of land as well. It's sort of the Shivering Isles idea of you're going to a different area. Since I mentioned Shivering Isles several times already, and that's probably the best Bethesda DLC that they've done.
I agree.
Maybe tied with Old World Blues, but that was a Bethesda. That was, but still Fallout, so it's kind of blurry there.
Yeah. Shivering Isles was definitely the best. As a follow-up question here in a minute, we should get back to what do you think is some of their best DLC content, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, this one looks like a full-blown story expansion. It's $25 if you buy it outside of the Season Pass. And I'm going to wager right now that this will have some underwater content. There's been a whole lot of speculation about that because someone a couple of months ago found that there were some unfinished assets for excuse me, for an underwater spear gun.
Huh.
And a huge portion of the Commonwealth is water. Like, there's way more water in the Commonwealth than there's ever been before. So, a lot of people are speculating that originally there was going to be some underwater content, but for some reason it got cut, and that in one of the DLCs it will be coming back. And I mean, this is a harbor town, so it would make sense to me if there was some underwater content.
And if not this, some of the other stuff that they teased later on, because this isn't all that you're getting. Because if it was, boy, that would be kind of sucky.
Yeah. So now to the discussion that I'm interested to hear how angry you get. They made the expansion pass more expensive. They bumped it from $30 to $50.
Yeah, and it just pisses me off. The fact that they are gouging people that are buying intelligently, because none of this DLC is out yet, and it's not going to be out for months. Let's be perfectly frank here. I think I heard somewhere that Far Harbor is going to be coming out. Oh, it's coming out in May 2016. The other DLC, the Automatron's coming out in March, so next month, and then Wasteland Workshop's coming out in April. So the only story content isn't coming out till May.
Right.
And the price increase is going in effect on March 1st. So you have, as of recording, about a week and a half to buy the Season Pass before they jack up the price to just a ludicrous level. The Season Passes shouldn't be this expensive. At least in my opinion.
I'm okay with paying... Well, I don't buy Season Passes because that falls under the rule of don't pre-order video games.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with them pricing a Season Pass at whatever they want, as long as they show us all the content that's going to be in it up front, so we know what we're buying.
Yeah, that's also part of my problem with this. And I'm probably a little bit more irate than, so I can't really articulate what I'm trying to say, is that before they announced this, you were buying the season pass completely blind. You had no idea what was coming out. They did say a couple. Did they say how many stuff was coming out?
I don't remember seeing. I think they just said we've got several pieces of. At least the last thing I read was we've got several pieces of DLC content.
Seems so foolish to buy the season pass completely sight unseen, and even here, if you have no interest in the Automatron or whatever that is, and the Wasteland Workshop, you're getting only Far Harbor as content.
Right, and Far Harbor's not worth $50.
Yeah, they're pricing it at $25. It's just so foolish to buy the season pass sight unseen, and buying the season pass now, probably 2.5 months before the story content comes out, even with a price increase. And we have no idea how good this is going to be. Right. Because Fallout DLC, I'm including Obsidian's Fallout New Vegas in this, has typically been one really, really good DLC in each game, a couple mediocre, and then one kind of ugh. And we have no idea if this is going to be a good DLC, and we don't even know what else they have planned, because once again, you're buying sight unseen for the most part.
Yeah. I'm looking at these, trying to think about how much I'd be willing to pay for a season pass, only including these 3 pieces of content. I think $15 would be reasonable for these 3, because in my mind, I'm willing to pay like $3 for each of the Automatron and
if the
Wasteland
Automatron
Workshop
and Wasteland Workshop are $3 each, that would be a lot more fair. But I think that what they should have done, instead of jacking up the price of the season pass and adding to it, or adding the extra DLC to the single season pass, was split it off. Have the initial season pass and say what is actually in the season pass without teasing. Well, we'll have several pieces of content. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. We have no idea what you're buying, because screw you. That's why. It just seems so disrespectful to the customers.
Yeah. I will say that I have a bit more faith in Bethesda to release more quality content than I do, say, I don't know, EA with the Battlefront $50 season pass. Yeah. But
I wonder if they saw Battlefront selling a $50 season pass and started making plans to up their season pass.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's no way that this was just a spur of the moment thing.
No. I'd say that Battlefront, they watched how well the $50 season pass did, and they went, we've got fans that really like our games as much as people like that game. Maybe we
as much as like Star Wars.
Yeah. Maybe we could sell our season pass for $50.
Yeah, I think what they should have done was, and I hate using Evolve as an example here, but sell a second season pass that included a second season worth of stuff.
I mean, I would be okay with that. If this season pass was, say, $15, maybe even $20 for the season pass for these 3 pieces of content, I'd be like, okay. That,
with maybe another little mini thing. And then have a second season pass that had another good chunk of story content, even though we have no idea how much Far Harbor is actually going to contain.
Right.
With a couple more little tweaks here and there, extra features. I think it would have been accepted a lot more. Even though, well, I think we're the minority voice here, because both of us looked at the Steam store and saw that the season pass has shot up to the very top of the top sellers list.
Yeah.
Which is very disheartening to see You can't say gouged yet because they didn't change the price just overnight, which was very nice of them. I'll give them that much. But to gouge the people that make the smart buying decisions of actually waiting until the reviews come out, because let's be perfectly frank here, Bethesda does make quality content most of the time. But they also make something else content-wise. Very, 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 very buggy content.
Yes.
Even though they did initiate a beta testing program for this as well, which, honestly, if they are sourcing out their QA for this DLC, that is a warning sign to me. They should be able to do this in-house.
I don't have a problem with them outsourcing QA. That doesn't bother me. Just as long as they actually listen to the QA that they receive.
Well, I think it more comes down to what definition of beta they're using.
Yeah, that's true. Is it the glorified demo version or the actual version? Yeah. And sadly, I'm betting that it's more the glorified demo version, because with the first one of these coming out in March.
They said March, which no actual date in March, so it could be March 1st, which would be a little over a week from today, or it could be the last part of the month.
Yeah, fair enough. I suppose they could get a real beta in there. Far Harbor is the one that I'm most concerned about, since it's the actual story content. Yeah, and it doesn't come out till May. I think there's enough time for them to make some changes.
Yeah, the first two probably wouldn't be too bad to beta test, but Far Harbor, I don't see how they're going to beta test that, unless they're getting the codes out like next week. Yeah, because a piece of content that big, if what they're teasing is what actually is happening, that's going to take a while to beta test, and it needs a lot of time to do so.
Yeah, I spent probably 20 or 25 hours in the Shivering Isles, and if they're saying that they are saying that this is their biggest expansion content yet.
Well, no, we should clarify this. They said that's the largest landmass for an add-on. That doesn't mean content, especially in a Fallout game that has a lot of open area.
Ah, okay. I misinterpreted that then, because I was thinking.
Here's the actual quote. Far Harbor features the largest landmass for an add-on that we've ever created, filled with new faction quests, settlements, lethal creatures, and dungeons. They say landmass, not piece of content. Maybe I'm looking too much in the marketing speech. Maybe I'm being overly cynical. Maybe I have the salt flowing a little too much. But them saying landmass is very telling to me.
Yeah. You make an excellent point. I mean, I just kind of read it and I went, oh yeah, biggest piece of content they've ever made. Sweet. And I bet that's what they're expecting most people to do.
Exactly.
I think that you're probably correct. I mean, we don't know for sure.
I don't want to be correct. Trust me, I don't want this to be, a large open island that has a lot of landmass, which with just little settlements dotted here and there. I want this to be an actual huge piece of content. I hope I'm wrong. But I'm taking my experience from Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, and I realize that these Fallout games have a lot of open area. Them saying landmass is telling to me.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't think I have anything else to say on this, and I'm looking at the time, and we have one more topic to go through.
I'm just still very, very... angry is probably not the proper term for it, but disappointed maybe that they're gouging the people that are making the intelligent buying decision and creating this artificial rush to buy this season pass with only a few teasers here and there and no actual content released, no reviews, no previews, just 3 screenshots and a paragraph of marketing blurb.
Don't forget the really cute cover things.
Oh yeah, the little posters. The woman that has her jumpsuit partway open so you could see her undershirt.
It's really racy by 1950s comic standards.
Yeah, I mean, what next? Will she be showing her ankles?
Oh, Lord help. I might faint from excitement.
There is one other thing, is that at the very end of this, they do mention the creation kit. We're also hard at work on the creation kit, which will allow you to create and play mods absolutely free. We're currently testing both the survival mode, which they are tweaking as well, and the creation kit now, with more details forthcoming. Thank you again, and bend over so we can... sorry.
Assume the position.
Oh, so they're playing Fisto. I got it.
Yeah. So
yeah, goodbye, child. Goodbye, family-friendly rating.
One of these times we'll be right about it. Anyways, moving on to our final news topic of the week, and this is another rumor.
Yep.
The Warcraft movie tickets will give all of the World of Warcraft expansions.
Plus a couple other goodies, if this rumor is true.
Right. So what happened is that a guy posted an email that he allegedly received from Blizzard onto Reddit. And people were speculating that it was probably fake, some kind of phishing attempt because there was a typo in the email. But then a World of Warcraft customer service person came onto Reddit and was like, no, it's legit. We made an error. We have corrected the error for future mailing lists. This was just an early run. And the email says that if you answer some feedback questions about the Warcraft movie, you'll include a gift package from them, which includes World of Warcraft, like all of it. You get WoW,
yeah, all the way
game,
up to Legion, which is the expansion coming up.
Right. And then you also get a month of game time and an exclusive in-game item.
Which, let's be perfectly honest, that's most likely a pet of some sort, because that's Blizzard's thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be a Murloc.
I hate Murlocs. Except for the one in Hearthstone. Professor, what's his name?
Oh, I love Murlocs. They're great. Especially, cooked over open fire,
Gets
tastes just like
Murloc
chicken.
Stew. Anyways, so it seems like that there
possibly
has been,
legit.
It's possibly legit. It still could be faked. There's still a lot of ways that they could, this person could be making it up, or I don't know, some kind of weird prank played by someone on the way out the door at Blizzard. There's a lot of ways that this could be wrong, but assuming that it's correct for the sake of argument, what do you think about it?
It's an interesting way to drive up their subscriber numbers, because they have been slipping big time, to the point that they don't even release what their actual subscriber count is anymore.
Yeah, I think the last time they released it was at 5.5 million subs.
Yeah, I thought it slipped to 5 million. I could be mistaken on that, but it had slipped to the lowest that has been since, Burning Crusade, which was their first expansion.
Yeah, so... Yeah, I agree with you. That's an interesting way to bring in new subs.
Especially the fact that they're giving game time and all the content up to... Well, by the time the movie's released, which... When does the World of Warcraft movie releases? June 10th, according to the article. I was about to ask when that was. Yeah, Legion, the newest expansion coming out, which is... Let's be perfectly frank. It's the design notes for Legion... are probably in a case on the side of the Blizzard development team's office, saying, in case of emergency, break glass.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everyone has said.
Yeah, it's basically like a huge fan fiction almost. It's not even good fan fiction. It's, they're bringing back Illidan. It's the alternate timeline again. They're grasping at straws almost. And this feels legit just because of how desperate Legion feels.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's an odd move, though. I don't know. It's an unprecedented thing. I've never seen a movie release give away anything like this before. Yeah.
I think I think part of this is also that the movie is coming out probably about, let's be honest, about 3 years later than it really should have to capture the whole WoW craze. Because WoW is very much on its way out. I'm not saying it's dying or dead, but I'm saying that it's no longer the big player in the MMO market.
Yeah, I think a better way to say that is that not that WoW is on its way out the door, but it's on its way to irrelevancy.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to say it.
You know, the old guard will keep it around until they finally just are like, okay,
until they move to a full free-to-play model. I think WoW eventually will move there.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
They're kind of sort of there already with basically their version of Plex.
Yeah.
So they're kind of there already, but not quite. They're in the Eve model. So they're eventually going to get to full free-to-play.
Right. Which, I mean, so far that's working for them.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a Band-Aid. You know, the game wasn't designed around that model like Eve was. I mean, Eve didn't originally release with Plex. That was a fairly early adoption by CCP in order to kind of keep people in the ecosystem. And, you know, Blizzard has thrown that on as a Band-Aid to try and keep some of the tide of subscribers from leaving. I probably will play the Legion expansion. I mean, I've played WoW for years. I've played WoW since vanilla.
Yeah, I'm 2 expansions behind, so going back to WoW at this point is pretty much no reason to.
Well, I played through originally at vanilla and then Burning Crusade, and then I took a long break, and then Cataclysm came out, and I got Cataclysm, and then I skipped Pandaria until Warlords of Draenor released, and so that's kind of what I've been doing. But Legion, I'll go back. I'll probably get Legion close to release and just play through the story content, you know, kind of the main gist of what you're doing, and then I'll probably put it down.
Mind if I make a small confession on this?
Absolutely.
I was actually excited about the World of Warcraft movie back when it was first announced. Was it like 5 years ago now?
It's been a while, yeah.
Until they announced that it was live action. What I wanted from the World of Warcraft movie, even though it would never happen, would be Blizzard to make their CGI the movie.
Oh my gosh, Blizzard makes such good CG
stuff. But it would never work because it would take them a century to make a movie because they put so much detail into their CGI. They would never get it out in a timely fashion, even though, you know, can't really say that the World of Warcraft movie's been out in a timely fashion either.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, but the way I'm going at the movie is this is not a World of Warcraft movie. This is a fantasy movie set in the Warcraft universe.
Yeah, I just wonder how much they're going to be kissing Thrall's ass in this, because when I quit the game, Thrall was basically like green Jesus. He could do no wrong. No matter how many times he screwed up and, you know, basically put the world at peril.
Yeah, he's still a big player. Draenor brought all the big hitters back, you know. It was like the ensemble cast of cool people for its main story, whether they're all fighting each other. But
yeah, I just got so tired of Thrall being like the center of attention for all the lore. It was just tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been from character to character. Gul'dan is pretty big in Draenor, again.
Yeah.
But I'm not a super huge WoW lore person. I've got the basics down, but I'm not the person that goes and reads every single quest dialogue and talks to every single NPC. Like, you know, I got the basics. I'm good.
They've hidden a lot of the lore in the novels, which I'll be perfectly frank. I tried reading one of the novels. I can't remember what one. But it was, I don't want to call it cringy, but it felt off. You know, whenever you're reading something, it's like the wording's not quite right. It's not flowing right.
Yeah.
It reads like a rough draft would.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. They were putting too much detail into mundane things, trying to make it sound more grand.
Right. I've never read the WoW novels. My mom loves them. My mom is... I've referenced my mom on here a couple times in relation to WoW. Like, my mom loves WoW. She plays WoW as much as I play EVE.
You know, we should have... I should have had you just bring her on and talk to her about it.
Dude, my mom has been in bed for like 5 hours at this point. There's no way she'd come on this show. I don't know. I could record something with her. I might, actually. I might see if I could convince my mom to talk to me about her WoW experience, because we've talked about it so many times. We'll see how that goes. No promises, guys. No promises. I love my mom, but she's not exactly the best speecher.
Speecher?
Yeah, she might get all nervous and stuff whenever I'm trying to quote-unquote interview her about her World of Warcraft
just put a bag over the mic and pretend it's not there.
But
just speak into the bag.
Yeah, pretend it's not there. It'll be fine.
Don't look directly at it.
Just look at me the whole time, Mom. It's fine. And give her a couple of glasses of Southern Comfort. She'd be talking up a storm about it. Maybe that's what we should do. Get my mom drunk and then have her talk about World of Warcraft.
In other words, I'd be in the intro and the outro, and that'd be about it for me.
That'd be the whole podcast, yeah. Everyone could just listen to my mom for 2 hours, 3 hours, talk about World of Warcraft.
I will say that this almost feels like they're trying to prop up the movie a bit, just because it's so late out of the gate for when the WoW craze was. But it also feels like they're trying to prop up WoW with the movie. It's this weird kind of circle that's going around. Are you getting the same feeling on this?
I get the feeling that they are trying to prop up the game. I think that the movie's going to do fine. It's got enough of a generic kind of fantasy action vibe that people who aren't big fans of WoW would still be interested in going to see it. And then, you know, it is marketed as the World of Warcraft or the Warcraft movie, you know, depending on which circle you come from. And so that's going to draw in the fans who played Warcraft, who play WoW.
I just have to wonder if the people that quit WoW over the years, will they be interested in coming back to see this movie?
I don't know. It's interesting. It might. I'd say they're hoping that people who go watch the movie, particularly people who used to play but don't, get that itch. Like, oh yeah, you know, I used to play WoW. I should play again. And if you get them hooked, you know, you give them a month of game time, you get them in it. Mm-hmm. And then once they're in the ecosystem, they're more likely to stay. But I don't know. I don't quite get as big of a vibe of that as you do, but I do get some of it. But that's mostly just because I think the movie's going to do fine on its own.
Well, I'm just looking back to the Final Fantasy movie, which was also... it's the Final Fantasy movie was its own weird thing to begin with because it was made in-house by Squaresoft at the time. This was before Square Enix. And it was a CGI movie and not a live-action movie. But it being called a video game movie actually really hurt it. But then again, we're in a different place now where video games aren't considered as dorky as they were in I think it was 2000 when the Final Fantasy movie came out.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I remember seeing it, but...
2001, so close enough.
Okay, video game movies. In your opinion, has there ever been a good video game movie?
Ooh. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking probably the closest would be like Tomb Raider, maybe? But that doesn't really capture the feel of Tomb Raider. That's more like putting Lara Croft in a movie.
Right.
But it also helps that it's Angelina Jolie and, you know.
Yeah. I
and her and her supporting cast, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I know what you mean. I'm a big fan of Angelina Jolie and her supporting cast. Yeah, I asked the question. So I think that...
actually, I'm going to bring up a list of video game movies, trying to think if there's one I'm missing.
Okay, well, let me just...
Mortal Kombat wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I'm talking about the first one.
Mortal Kombat, the first one, was a bad movie, but in all the right ways to make it campy and fun.
Yeah. It was one of those movies that you would go to, and it was so bad that it was good.
Right, yeah. I quite like the Resident Evil movies. I know a lot of people dislike them, and really, they don't capture the essence of the game very well.
Wait, what? No, sorry. I'm looking at the list. They're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
Oh, that is gonna suck.
It's a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
What?
Like, it's... everyone is speculating that it's probably something along the lines of the Smurf movies, with a live-action cast, and then, like, that weird cartoony CG... characters. I can't believe you haven't heard about this.
I'm not too huge into movies. So.
Yep, I'm looking forward to all of the reviews for it, like Movie Bob's review and Laura K's review, Dodger. I'm looking forward to all that.
Okay, I'm sorting by box office revenues. The top video game movie, and we're way off topic, but what the hell at this point?
Well, I mean, it's video games, right?
Yeah, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time is the top grossing video game movie.
That was a crappy video game movie. If they had just labeled it as, I don't know, some kind of action movie, it would have been okay, but it wasn't Prince of Persia.
It's basically the same problem Final Fantasy had, to be perfectly honest.
It's a problem a lot of video game movies
wasn't
have.
a terrible movie, but it was a terrible Final Fantasy movie.
Right.
Well, I'll go down the list. Let's see. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, Resident Evil Afterlife. Any comments there? I never saw it.
Which one is Afterlife? There's 6?
This was the one
that
one that came out in 2010.
I'm just gonna have to look it up. Resident Evil Afterlife.
I'll continue going down the list then. Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Oh, Afterlife. That's the one that had Wesker in it. Afterlife is an okay movie. They made Albert Wesker exactly like Albert Wesker is in Resident Evil. And it's also the one that brought in the Redfields. It was a fun movie, but also... I think it's my favorite out of the Resident Evil movies that they've made, just because Wesker's in it. But other than that, it's just kind of average.
Yeah, and then let's see. Resident Evil Retribution, Need for Speed, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life.
Need for Speed was such a bad movie. I didn't
even know that they made a Need for Speed movie, but I would expect it to be like Too Fast, Too Furious, or Fast and Furious, or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, I mean, it tried to be Fast and Furious, the Fast and the Furious. It tried to be that, but it didn't, and so it just came across as bad.
And let's see, it's like Resident Evil and Lara Croft are dominating the top 10. Then Hitman, which I never really paid attention to.
There's 2 different Hitman movies.
This is just Hitman.
Okay, so then that would be the first
2007.
one. Yeah, the first one. That one was pretty decent. I mean, it's got bad dialogue and rough acting, but in terms of an action movie, it's got some pretty good action in it.
Yeah, Street Fighter, then Silent Hill, then Max Payne. I mean, there's just so many movies that I never even paid attention to because, let's be perfectly frank, going by the Rotten Tomatoes score, all right, which I think we could agree that Rotten Tomatoes usually has a decent grasp on how a movie does.
Yeah, I agree.
Better than Metacritic.
Whoa, yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes rates the top video game movie as Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within with a 44%. And then it's
4%'s all right.
Then it's Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. And
yeah.
Let's see, and they rate the worst one. Can you guess what the worst one is? Actually, let me
what is it?
check
Night
something.
of the Living Dead? No. What is it then?
I'm checking. Oh, it's a Yui Bowl movie.
I was in the ballpark there with Yui Bowl.
Alone in the Dark. And it's Alone in the Dark with a 1%.
Alone in the Dark. I've actually never seen that one.
Well, it's Yui Bowl, so you're probably not missing much.
No, I'm probably not missing anything. Not even much. I'm not missing anything.
Yeah, let's see. I'm trying to... Wait, where's Mario Brothers in this list? Mario Brothers is rated 16%.
Mario Bros. Is pretty bad.
Yeah. Poor Eddie Valiant. Things just went downhill for him.
Oh, Doom. I forgot about Doom. Doom was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Doom's rated 19%.
It was a really crappy movie, but it was a lot of fun. I think that's the gist for getting out of video game movies.
Yeah, there hasn't been a video game movie that's done really well. That's been rated well. I think in order for a video game movie to do well, it has to be more than relying on just, hey, I'm a video game movie. It has to have that more open feel, I guess.
How did the Halo movie do?
I don't even see it on here.
Let me look up its actual name. Halo.
There's still quite a few that's either coming out this year or to be announced. Ratchet and Clank has a movie coming out. The Angry Birds has a movie coming out, which I don't see how that's possible.
Oh, it's an animated movie. It's a kids movie.
Yeah. Wait, a kids movie for Halo?
No. I'm talking about for Angry Birds.
I was about to say, how does that work?
Dang it, where's the Halo movie?
Let's see, Warcraft, of course. Assassin's Creed, which that's going to be fun, just sitting on a bench for an hour and a half.
Well, yeah, but we get to look at Ryan Reynolds for that, so I'm okay with that. I can look at Ryan Reynolds all day. He's a very attractive man. Silence.
Well, if you didn't get enough of him in Deadpool.
I have not been to see Deadpool yet, but I'm going to see
I haven't
Deadpool.
either, but supposedly you get quite the eyeful.
It looks so good. And I wouldn't mind getting quite the eyeful.
There's another Resident Evil movie coming out, the final chapter, thankfully, the final chapter.
What do you mean, thankfully? Those movies are so much fun.
I guess it's just not my genre, and I don't pay attention to movies that much to begin with.
I'm a huge movie buff.
They're making an Uncharted movie.
All right, Indiana Jones with even more killing. There,
pretty
done.
much. I look at it this way: it can't be any worse than the last Indiana Jones.
Forward Unto Dawn. That's it. Halo. It took me forever to find that.
That's very promising.
I mean, you try searching Halo movie in Google, and you get a lot of results.
Let's see, Sonic the Hedgehog, which we already talked about. Sly Cooper, which is going to be interesting. Hopefully that's animated, and they're not making the mistake of making that live action.
Rocket Raccoon as Sly Cooper.
Dragon's Lair, the movie. And
wasn't that already technically a movie?
Well, now it's going to be another movie.
All right. It would be interesting if they made like a whole bunch of different screenings or a whole bunch of different versions. It's like, oh, he died. Guess you got to come back and watch it again and hope you get one where he doesn't.
They just have slots in the back of all the seats, and you have to put a quarter in to play it again.
Oh, there would be a riot. There would be many riots.
It would be a riot.
Halo Forward Unto Dawn has a 68% score on Rotten Tomatoes, although it only has... it's got a lot of reviews. Sorry.
Well, we're completely ignoring the fact that Japanese movies, there's several video game movies.
Right.
Depending on how you kind of split it, because the Pokemon movies, of course.
Yes. I used to watch those when I was a little kid.
Yeah. Let's see. Street Fighter, which is listed separately from the other Street Fighter movie. It's an animated movie. And let's see. Fatal Frame, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children's listed completely separately from Spirits Within, which, even though Advent Children wasn't a great movie, it was a lot better of a Final Fantasy movie, obviously.
Right.
It was a little bit too, what's the word for it? caught up on itself.
Okay.
It was playing the set pieces a bit too much. Look, it's this guy that you may remember from the game. Look, it's this guy. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds so sad. It's like, this guy. Oh.
Oh, Tim.
Okay. Time to wrangle us back on track.
Yeah, there hasn't been a very good video game movie, and I would be pleasantly surprised to see Warcraft actually kind of break the trend, even though we got horrendously off topic just talking about video game movies to begin with.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of video game movies that are fun to watch, but in terms of like actual film-making, there aren't any good video game movies.
Well, let's put it this way. If you went into, let's say, Mortal Kombat, which I think we could both agree is so bad it's good.
Yep,
without
absolutely.
any knowledge of Mortal Kombat at all, you had no idea who these characters are. Would you enjoy the movie?
I did. The very first time I saw Mortal Kombat, I didn't know about the Mortal Kombat franchise. Like, I was probably a 9 or a 10-year-old kid who lived under a rock. Like, I lived in a place where there were no arcades, because when I grew up, arcades were still a thing. They kind of died when I was
I remember
preteen
arcades.
or a teenager. But, I mean, I saw the Mortal Kombat movie Blind, and the movie actually got me interested in the game. I was like, this is such a fun, stupid movie. Even as like a 10-year-old kid, I was like, this is fun and stupid. I want to play this game. Because my dad told me that it was a video game.
I just think that Warcraft, in order to do well, has to be able to bring in people that have no idea what World of Warcraft is, even though I think they pretty much have to be living under a rock at this point.
Yeah.
Or have no idea what the lore is. Because that's going to be the real key is, can someone that has no idea who Thrall is, or who King Raoden is, or I can't remember his name. He only came back right before I left the game. But, has no idea who Gul'dan is, or the Lich King, or, I'm just pulling out random names. I don't think the Lich King's part of this, but that's beside the point.
No, Lich King is from another time.
Yeah, if they don't know who these characters are, can they still enjoy the movie? That's what the Warcraft movie has to do.
Right. So.
And they have to make it so it's more than just kids can enjoy it.
Yeah.
There has to be something else there.
And make the pauldrons as big as they are in the game. If you want to make us all believe it's a Warcraft movie, make them huge, bigger than small children.
So big that you need scaffolding in order to actually get into them.
Yeah, so big they're impractical. Make them like that. Otherwise, I will be very disappointed.
Yeah, that does explain the architecture of Warcraft. All the wide doors.
All those giant doors, yeah. All those vaulted ceilings. Makes sense.
Well, considering how many of the pauldrons actually spew fire and ice and that sort of thing. Gotta be careful.
Yeah, don't want to start any fires. Or any more fires.
Yeah, but what we probably should start on is the community corner.
We should. Thank you for segueing us over to the community corner. This week, we only got one letter from...
Which is why we went a little bit long with the news.
We also finished up pretty early about our games for the week. I'd say that's going to be a trend. But, we've got
especially if I've been fighting my recording setup and haven't really played that much.
Yeah, we've got an hour set aside for it, and if we start dipping into the news early, then we can obviously fit in a couple extra conversations, like, I don't know, a 15-minute discussion about video game movies.
Yeah, and how much they haven't really lived up to anything, but let's get going.
Right.
From B-Lug.
Our only letter this week, with the subject line, "Since you're twisting my arm!" !
Yeah, we talked about him sending in more letters since he asked about it.
Yep, you just keep sending them in, buddy. I'll twist your arm. Send in more. All the letters. Send in all the... I guess technically you send in all the letters for this week, so... Achievement unlocked. Anyways, he says, "Hey guys, this is about the big Hearthstone update. First, I'm quite surprised about the addition of more deck spaces. They must have found a good way to integrate this, since in the past they denied that option because they insinuated that most of the players were too stupid and would be confused by it. Yeah, that was their main reason."
Yeah, we didn't really cover how they're doing it. It's basically they're adding a second page to the deck slots.
Right.
That's it. And I will agree that Blizzard has been kind of over-focus grouping Hearthstone to the fact that they want to be very careful that everyone can understand it, even if you've taken one too many shots to the cranium. Yeah, but that's kind of a trend in video gaming anyway, especially the bigger studios. I remember getting completely off topic once again, but it's video game logic. While playing Portal 2, I played with the dev commentary on, which I just love dev commentaries in games. I wish more did that. But they were talking about how they had to change the design of various puzzle rooms because people were trying to shoot portals through glass, for example. And it was a little frustrating to see that they were pulling things out of the game because their focus group just couldn't understand the concept, even though we have no idea what their focus group was, if they had any experience with the Portal franchise at all, which, if they didn't understand how portals work, was probably, they don't have much experience with it. And that's just been a trend in video games overall, is that they're trying to make it a little almost too open, which I sound like such an elitist jerk saying that, don't I?
No, if you water down the message so much that, in order to try and get everybody on board, but you wind up just alienating everybody. I think that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's what Blizzard's been kind of doing, sort of, with, you'll get confused if you have more than 9 deck slots. You can only do this sort of thing. And then they go and split the community into 2 very different game modes. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a very mixed message. But anyway, you should continue on.
Indeed. He continues. By the way, they were proven right at the release of the Goblins vs. Gnomes expansion when they had to close the shop because of the confusion of 2 choices of boosters.
Yeah, I saw many, many, many videos of that. I will say that they probably didn't explain it very well. Their shop is very much touch-based. It feels a lot more like it's built for a tablet. So there's really no indicator outside of, just a glow around the booster pack. And because the servers were getting absolutely slammed, people were rushing and trying to do it as quickly as possible and, buying their own booster packs and getting 100 of them.
Right. I saw one sad kid who on a stream was like, yeah, so, I saved up all the money that I've gotten from my last however many streams to spend on a 50 pack, and we're going to sit here and we're going to open them on stream, going to get a whole bunch of new Goblins versus Gnomes cards, and then he accidentally bought the standard cards. And just he was so defeated.
Didn't they offer a rebate on anyone that did that, though?
Yeah, they offered refunds to people who did that, as long as you didn't open any of the card packs. Because if you're like, well, you got stuck with the wrong cards, just don't open the packs, and you could have gotten a refund for them. He continues to his next paragraph, though. Back to B-Lug's letter. For the deck limitation division, in my personal opinion, I think it's a good way to go. He's talking about the new Wild versus Standard play. It will be easier for new players to rank in this division since all of the cards of a player are limited to the recent ones, so it's more easy to gather good cards for those battles. Plus, it's free to play each season. All free players will get to the same point, or so, because of dust. Where I think they'll be wrong is limiting the sales of the older packs, but once again, they're probably making this to not confuse and discourage the new players. Plus, making this announcement will surely boost the sales of older packs. See you Friday, B-Lug. P.S. Rage, I submit myself for co-hosting if you kick Shrink out. Tongue sticking out face.
Yeah, that was you starting to fall a little bit too much into Eve, I believe.
Nah, it's fine. I don't have a problem.
Yeah, you could quit anytime you want to. Like you quit just earlier today to record this.
That's right. I quit earlier today to record this. And then
that's probably the only time that you've been playing Eve this week.
Yeah. As soon as we're done recording, I'm going to open it back up and do a few things. And then go to bed.
My.
I don't have a problem. I'm fine. I don't have issues.
No, you have a subscription.
I do. I have 2 subscriptions. And I've got a third account that's a trial account.
Yeah, we're going to have to schedule an intervention.
I'm considering a 4th. When my wife's gone on her vacation to see the in-laws.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you keep this up, your wife is going to be considering a 5th.
When my wife is gone on her vacation to visit her parents in April, I'm going to set up 2 new trial accounts because my current trial account will be out by then. So then I'll be playing with 4 accounts.
So in other words,
I
won't be seeing you.
No, I'll have 24 hours a day for 2 weeks to play games. Well, minus when I have to do sessions and stuff, but I'm going to take some time off. I'll still be around. I'll probably be around more, actually, because I can be on TeamSpeak in the middle of the day.
Yeah, when no one's around. Because I'm usually sleeping in the middle of the day.
That's true. All right, maybe I won't be around anymore. I'll just take my Eve and go home.
But we pretty much covered this already, talking about how video games are being focus grouped. And actually being proven a bit right on this for having to be so careful because buying the wrong booster packs and having to be so careful. It's weird.
Yeah.
Or do you think this is a case of just the outliers? Somebody on stream screwing up because they're rushing too much, and it becoming, trying to think of the proper way to put it.
It just becoming a bigger deal.
Not quite a meme, but just this vocal minority who rushed due to server issues. Talking mainly about goblins versus gnomes because that was the main time that they had this issue. Just rushing so much trying to get those packs in when the servers were actually working. The people that screwed up because they rushed too much, it became a thing because it was out there. We're living in a social media where news gets around the world on Twitter, for example, before the main news sites could even hope to type a headline.
Right. I don't know. I think that it's more of a case of not that. I'm sure that there are some people out there who are legitimately stupid enough to not be able to do it. And I'm sure that there are plenty of people out there, I mean, obviously there were, who tripped over themselves to spend money on the new stuff and suffered from some problems because of it. I think the biggest problem is that Blizzard is just not showing their consumers enough respect in the realm of Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's been kind of the theme for this week, hasn't it? Just a lack of respect for the consumer.
Yeah, I don't think that it's like, as bad as an offense as, charging $50 for a season pass. But, I mean, Blizzard does have a history of treating the consumers like babies, holding their hands. And, I mean, they've done that for a long time with a lot of games.
Yeah,
and this is just another example of that.
Yeah, I saw in my time playing WoW just things getting overly simplified.
And, I mean, Hearthstone's already a pretty simple game. So,
yeah, it was rather disheartening just to see how things just kind of became more and more simple. Going from talent trees, for example, to talent bonsais to, you have a list instead because, you can't be bothered to make choices out of a tree anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I could understand cutting down the talent trees originally because there was a lot of redundant or unused talents that no one ever used. But going down to the list, that's where they lost me.
Yeah. So that's our community corner for the week. Oh, we had a tweet,
no. Yeah, I was about to say we're not done because we had a tweet on the official hashtag from Million Lights talking about how he enjoyed the podcast and thanking Aki for who he heard it from Aki during his shout out on Boosters in Space Tape. And they actually did another shout out for us over there as well on Boosters and Space Tape. So big thanks over there.
Thank you, Aki. We love you. And all of the rest of you guys on Boosters and Space Tape.
Yeah, even if they can't spell the Red Panda's name correctly. I I typically, well, if I'm awake whenever they're recording, I'll go over and heckle them because, that's my thing.
Right.
And the entire podcast, he was called the Red Panda, as in the color, and not, the past tense of read.
Oh, that's funny. So now that we've done it with Community Corner.
Yeah, and there was a couple of really nice people on chat for Boosters of Space, but unfortunately, it was, I literally just woke up before it, and I was too drowsy to write down names. So thank you for everyone that was so kind to me in the chat.
Thank you,
even though
people.
Even though I was a bit snarky and was kind of waking up at the time.
Send your angry letters to vglpodcast@gmail.com, raging at rage for forgetting your name.
I know, I think Dr. Groove was one.
Dr. Groove. I know a Groove on Steam. I wonder if it's the same one. I think he's
that's the only name I remember directly. And there was one MD something and a bunch of numbers.
All right, MD something and a bunch of numbers. Thank you very much for appreciating our podcast.
Sorry, I literally caught the podcast. I signed on to Twitch just as they were starting, and I had just woken up like 10 minutes beforehand. So I was snarky, I was tired, drowsy, waking up, and I had my morning tea. Well, morning to me.
Right. So...
and also, if you want to send in letters or tweet at us, remember it's VGL Podcast on Twitter, and also email. Only it's at Gmail.
Eventually, I'll make this transition.
Sorry.
4th or 5th time's the charm. So, Rage, Steam weekly sales this week.
Yeah, there was a lot of them, and actually not a lot of quality that I saw.
No, me neither. It's like, what, 230 something?
Yeah, and a lot of them were either games I didn't know or games that weren't so bad that they were offensively bad, but, not something I would want to suggest.
Yeah, it was a lot of stuff that was just kind of average. Like, this game's okay, I guess.
Yeah, but I did dig through, and I found 2 things, and I have a bonus.
Okay, I found 2 things. I do not have a bonus. So, you go first, and I'll be smooshed in between you.
Oh, my. And goodbye, family-friendly rating.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to smush it all up in there.
Okay.
Smush.
I have one that I could kind of recommend. One that my bonus is kind of meh, but it's more of an introductory to other games. And the one I want to suggest is Frozen Synapse.
Okay. I'm familiar with Frozen Synapse.
Yeah, it is a technically turn-based strategy game. It's a weird combination of real-time and turn-based. What it is it's a top-down squad shooter, and every turn that you take is 5 seconds of game time. And both players play out their turns simultaneously. So your squad moves for 5 seconds under your orders, and that's the turn. It's a very stylistic. Yeah, stylistic. Speak well, I do not. Now it's my turn to fall over my words.
Use your words, dude.
I speak good. It's a very stylistic strategy game, and it's actually very, very tough to master. It's one of those games that's very simple to grasp,
right?
But it has a lot of depth to it. You said you know this game. Have you ever played it?
I've never played it. I've seen it played a couple of times by friends. It's always looked neat, but it's like one of those games that I'm like, maybe.
Yeah, it has the Steam notification system built into it. It doesn't have a lot of players anymore. That's a real crying shame on it because it is a very, very good strategy game. But the thing is that you don't really need a lot of players because you could do almost like a play by email sort where you log in, do your move, and then you log out, and and then you just wait for the other person to do their move, and the game resolves the turn.
Right.
So it's hard. So it's really hard to pin down just the number of players that you really need to make this work. And also, it gives you a free copy to give to a friend if you want to play against your friends.
Oh, fancy.
So it's actually a 2-pack instead of a 1-pack.
So 2 for $6.24.
Yeah, it's 75% off.
Fancy.
A very good strategy game. It's very underrated, and there is a sequel of it for it coming out.
Cool. I might check it out. It's on my wish list.
And also the single... What isn't on your wish list?
Good question.
And also the single player is very, very tough, but has a pretty good story to it. It's not amazing, but it's not bad either. So there you go.
All right. My first game is a game by the name of Bounty Train. Bounty Train is... What kind of game is this? Let's see. You've got
Isn't that basically like Railroad Tycoon?
No, it is not.
Okay.
It does involve trains, though. It's, a trading strategy RPG with trains. There's a story, and you are... what can I say without spoiling it? Okay, you're a guy who inherits a train, and you put together a group of people to go on your train with you, and you can travel around the entire east coast of the United States, and you can trade goods, you can take missions, you can ferry passengers, but then it also has these combat sections where, for example, you're on the tracks and you're going, and then it pops up and it's like, oh, you're being attacked by Indians, or...
it's Native Americans.
You're being attacked by Native Americans.
No, it says Indians right there.
You're being attacked by Indians, or you're being attacked by outlaws or something like that, and you have to defend your train and your cargo and your passengers. And so it's got these kind of little action sequences, which is kind of where the strategy comes in. It kind of plays out like a tower defense game. I think that's the best way to describe it. You can place your people in different positions around your train and have them shoot out the windows or off the roof or something like that. And the enemies kind of spawn in waves, and you have to kill them before they get on your train and kill everybody. I mean, you can fight them off if they get on your train, but once you get into kind of knife combat range, it's a really even battle. And each of your characters level up, and you can give them skills for driving a train better, or fighting better, or a few other things. It's a decently fun little game. I bought it actually when it released. Well, I mean, it's an early access game, yeah. But I bought it when it first became early access. I've been following it for a while, and it's a fun game. It's got a good amount of replayability. It's got some randomized elements to it. Trade goods are random. It's got a lot of random missions. There's quite a few different trains in it, different train cars. So if you like trains and you're looking for a new train game to fill your time, it's not like a train simulation game, this is the best thing I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I saw this and I was thinking, Railroad Tycoon. I didn't realize it was more like a roguelite.
Yeah.
Sorta?
Yeah, you could say roguelite.
Interesting. Shall I continue on then?
Carry on.
All right, my next game is Retrograde. Have you heard this one?
Retrograde. It sounds familiar. Let me look it up on Steam really quick.
It's basically a rhythm game, a music game, with a space sci-fi theme. I haven't played this one, but I've seen enough of reviews that I feel comfortable in suggesting this to fans of the genre. Basically, the very beginning of the game, your spaceship blows up the big bad. Game over. Only doing so, you kind of cause the end of the universe, so you have to rewind time all the way back to the beginning of the boss battle. and you also have to collect all the shots that you fired during the game, quote unquote. So it's essentially a rhythm game with your ship going backwards through time.
That's interesting.
Dodging shots from the enemies while collecting the shots that your ship fired back when you were at that point in time. It's an interesting premise, but in practice, it's basically a rhythm game. So if you're not a fan of music games where you're basically the Guitar Hero style, where you're bouncing between, I think it's 5 different tracks on Retrograde, you're not going to enjoy this. But if you want a rhythm game on PC, which you have very little choice on PC, it's not a bad title. And it is $3.39 right now.
Alrighty. Well, my next game is Bombing Bastards. If you like Bomberman, but you haven't been able to play it for years because you no longer own a platform that Bomberman is supported on, Bombing Bastards has got your back. I mean, it's basically a Bomberman clone and everything except aesthetic. So, I mean, there's not really much more I can say about that. If you want to play Bomberman on PC without an emulator, Bombing Bastards is your best pick. It's a solid game. The mechanics hold up. It was designed, I don't know if to be a Bomberman clone is the right way to say it, but it was designed to emulate Bomberman as closely as possible, and it does a good job.
I think I remember seeing a WTF Is from Total Biscuit on this, and he was having trouble with it.
Right. He was.
I can't remember. There was something that he was doing that was weird on his computer.
Yeah, it had to do with his resolution, I think, that he was playing the game at.
Yeah, it was making it so his hitbox wasn't what it looked like. It should be, right?
Yeah, he had a conversation with the devs that got posted somewhere, and they had an amicable conversation and figured out what the problem was.
Which is very rare for indie devs. It seems to actually come to game reviewers like that and try to figure out what's going on. It seems far more common for them to try to bury criticism like that.
Yeah.
Which is very sad. What, am I boring you?
No, sorry. I had a long day, and I'm tired, and it's starting to get to me. I ran out of tea, and I'm out of Diet Coke, so I'm out of caffeine next to me.
But I'm right here.
Yeah, but I can't drink you up. I can't put a straw in you like a milkshake and drink you up.
Oh, my.
There's a movie reference for you.
Well, if you're done with your Bombing Bastards, should I
there's really nothing else
to my bonus?
There's nothing else I can say about it except it's $5 right now. It's 50% off.
Yeah. Okay, this one is going to be... it's more of an introduction to a bunch of free-to-play titles.
Okay.
Than anything else, because... Humble Bundle has been doing some weird things. Yes, this is another Humble Bundle that I'm covering, and it just released today when we're recording this. So
Humble Bundle.
This is the Humble Gamepedia Online Multiplayer Bundle. You know, it's good that they're making these titles concise, you know?
Yeah, very short, you know, so that they roll off the tongue real easily.
Basically, all of these are multiplayer games of some sort, and they have official wikis through Gamepedia. Each tier has one game in it, and it has DLC to a bunch of free-to-play games. Some of these I know, some of these I don't. So We'll just go over the list real quick. On the $1 tier, there's a free game as well. Stronghold Kingdoms. It'll give you a bunch of paid content there, which I've heard a lot of people complain that that's a very pay-to-win game. So you may or may not want to claim the free copy there, but if you're interested in Stronghold Kingdoms, it's good to pick up. It's just some extra content.
Right. I've never played it before, so I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. Well, I wanted to cover all the tiers, and that's the freebie. On the $1 tier, you have Awesome Knots. This is just the base game, not any of the one expansion that's out and the other one that I think is still coming. Awesome Knots is a MOBA, but a MOBA / platformer. It's a 2D MOBA.
Okay.
It's It's an interesting take on the genre. I've had a lot of problems getting to MOBAs, but I actually enjoyed Awesome Nuts as a very diverse cast of characters. Even though just the base game, you're only going to have access to probably about a little over half of them. All of them have a lot of characters to them, a lot of character to them, and each character has a really good soundtrack. Each one has a battle theme, for example.
I think I've seen Awesome Nuts played by Total Biscuit.
Yeah, him and Total Biscuit actually voices a character in Awesome Nuts. Jesse Cox voices a character.
Wow.
Or no, not Jesse Cox. Simon from Yogg's Cast. I always confuse the two for some reason. I think it's they have sort of the same character almost. Kind of the wacky guy.
Yeah.
And I kind of haven't watched Yogg's Cast in years. So,
yeah.
So Simon's just not in the forefront of my mind, and Jesse Cox kind of filled that in.
Right.
But yeah, they have some YouTubers that have done characters for them, and it has a wide, diverse cast. I think you're able to find something that you want to play if you're into MOBAs.
Right.
Carrying on for the DLC, there's Heroes and Generals Early Access Weekend Warrior Pack, which I don't have any experience with the Heroes and Generals at all.
I'm opening up Heroes and Generals right now.
It's very mixed reviews. Which, since it is an early access game, it's hard to really understand where the game stands.
Right.
Because it could have been an earlier build, or it could be the current build.
I'm scrolling through this here, looking at. Well, I was.
There's a lot of people complaining that it's a grind fest, but that a lot of first-person shooters are grind fest these days. And the top positive review is not a review for the game, but it's a recipe for a pie crust. I kid you not.
That's brilliant.
It's cute, but it shouldn't be the top rated positive comment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen this on Steam before. Whenever I occasionally peruse the free to play section.
Mm-hmm.
Never played it though. Don't know the first thing about it outside of it's a World War II shooter.
Yeah, let's see. Next up is Dirty Bomb, the Ultimate Starter Pack.
Familiar with Dirty Bomb?
Yeah, Dirty Bomb's pretty good. I haven't played it since they introduced basically their version of the Spy. The Invisible Bastard.
Yeah.
But Dirty Bomb has a real a tendency of releasing characters that are overpowered and then scaling them back. So whenever a new character is released, it's probably best to not play for a bit. But they haven't done that in a while, if I recall correctly. Anyway, the Ultimate Starter Pack is like $30 on Steam, and it contains several classes and a bunch of boosters. And so if you're interested in getting into Dirty Bomb, there's a buck that'll get you a long ways.
Yeah. I'm actually considering it just for the Dirty Bomb booster pack, because I like Dirty Bomb, but I haven't played it very much.
You get a 30-day subscription to Curse Premium, which, okay, who cares about that?
Yeah.
And a WildStar Jump Pack, which WildStar is one of the newer MMOs that's gone free to play recently.
Yeah, didn't it go free to play at the end of 2015, mid to end 2015?
Yeah, something like that, like November or December. I don't know a lot about WildStar, unfortunately, but it gives you a bunch of goodies in WildStar if you're interested in it.
WildStar is essentially old school WoW.
Yeah.
They thought that people would really want to play old WoW again, and so they made a game that played like the old version of WoW, and it kind of flopped. I've heard that they made tons of tweaks to it. I have not played it. I wanted to play it, but at the time when it first released, I might have been playing Eve at the time.
There's a shock.
I don't remember exactly when it released, but I try to only play one MMO at a time. So,
yeah, WildStar kind of flopped and eventually went free to play, and well, here it is.
Yeah.
Let's see, the $5 tier. They're not doing a beat the average this time around. You have Victorinus Golf. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Probably not, but it's a 4-pack of it. It's basically a multiplayer mini golf game. Unfortunately, they gave this away free on Steam, I think in November. So if you were able to cash in on that deal, this takes a lot of the bite out of the $5 pack unless you want one of the DLCs here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, looking up the golf game, because we know how you love your golf games.
Vertiginius?
That's a word that I've never seen outside of this title.
I've never seen it before either.
It's basically steampunk mini golf.
Yeah, it looks kind of like that new game that out on Steam that's like golfing with friends or whatever. It's like a putt-putt golf game. That's what this looks like.
Yeah, they gave this away free not too long ago, so if you got that, this tier may not be for you unless you want the DLCs.
Right.
Which, moving right along, Smite, 2 characters from Smite. Which Smite is a third-person MOBA game. Once again, not too bad. It's set around basically different gods fighting one another. And each god has different powers depending on what they were. Like Cupid tends to, if I recall correctly, Cupid tends to charm people.
Well, that would make sense for Cupid.
Yeah.
I have played Smite briefly. I mean, I don't really like MOBAs. Smite is probably the best one I've played because of the third-person perspective.
Yeah. The third-person perspective brings you a lot more into the fight, but it doesn't make it so it's first-person. So you still have the awareness around you, somewhat, not nearly as much as you would from the typical MOBA perspective.
Right.
The isometric view, but it is a good in-between. It makes it a lot more like a shooter.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the characters that have more skill shot based abilities.
Yeah. It's a good way to describe it. Next.
Neverwinter Humble Bundle Pirate Pack, which I have no experience with Neverwinter at all.
Neverwinter is it was a great free-to-play MMO. I've got an old press account on it. When it first released, I was still doing game reviews, and so I got a press account with... How much money did they give me? Hundreds of thousands of the premium currency and like millions of the standard in-game currency. And they were like, okay, go try out our game. It's a lot of fun. The big selling point for Neverwinter, honestly, is since it's a Dungeons and Dragons game, it has an amazing dungeon builder where that you can create, custom dungeons, custom levels, custom stories, like right in the game. Right out of the box. You don't even have to hit a certain level to be able to use it. I think all you have to do is complete the tutorial with your character, and then you can go use the level editor. And it's got a great set of tools for doing so, and those are all way better than the quests in-game.
So basically, you want to play Neverwinter for the player-made content.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just got a generic... Outside of that, it's just got a generic fantasy... RPG story, but you get in there with the player content and they make some really good complex stuff. There's a lot of garbage too, to be honest, but yeah, it's got a really good curator system. Basically the people that get, at least this is the way it worked, I don't know if they've changed it, it's been probably a year since I played it. The way that it worked though, the players that had the highest curated stuff have more power in their votes, or more votes or something, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but the stuff that the big curators who are really popular recommend gets farther up the list than the stuff that they don't recommend. So it's like the people who are really good at it get a little bit more of a say in the content that gets to be put on the top. And if you just go browse like the best, most popular content, I never saw a bad quest out of all of the ones that I did.
Reminds me of sort of how Star Trek Online did it, where they gave you the tools to make your own stuff.
Yeah.
And there was some bad stuff, but there was also some really good stuff as well. So moving right along, the next one is War of the Vikings, which this is a full game, if I recall correctly. This is, it is a full game. It's basically another version of Chivalry, medieval warfare, from what it looks like. And it's getting some very, very mixed reviews on Steam.
Except with Vikings.
Yeah, and it has hardly any player base, so if you want to play with your friends, great. If not, well, you may be a little screwed.
I think Total Biscuit did a WTF of it as well at one point.
I don't recall if he did or not.
I think he did. I could be wrong, but I think he did. And then last is Robocraft.
Yeah, an early access twin robot pack, which I have experience with Robocraft. It's actually it's an interesting game. Basically, take sort of like Minecraft blocks and make robots out of them, and fight them in almost Dota-style arenas. They actually changed the gameplay modes where it used to be a team deathmatch, and now you're trying to control towers, very Dota-like, only without creeps.
Right. Robocraft is a lot of fun. Although I had more fun building stuff than I did fighting people.
Yeah, a lot of Robocraft is building your robot, taking it out, getting absolutely killed, and then coming back and tweaking the design.
Yep.
And this gives you 2 robots to start with, and you could disassemble them to make your own. And then there's one more tier. This one's a very short one. Dirty Bomb, again, another set of loadout cards and cases, which loadout cards and cases are how you select what your loadout is. You don't have a customizable loadout. You instead have these cards, which determines what your loadout is, which there are some cards that are a lot better than others, and
right.
The cases are how you get them. Then you have Path of Exile, basically 2 cosmetic things from Path of Exile, which Path of Exile is a very, very, very good ARPG.
Yeah, I've played Path of Exile a little bit. It was one of the only ARPGs I've ever been able to play for more than 10 minutes without getting absolutely bored. In my last graphics card that I bought from NVIDIA, they had a little thing. It's like, oh, here's you, 10,000 whatevers to redeem in Path of Exile.
Well, Path of Exile is really interesting because they don't have a direct currency. It's not like Diablo where you have gold. Instead, you have all these orbs that are used to transmute items, but they're also tradable, so they became a form of currency, with different versions of the orbs adding different things and different rarities becoming basically different denominations. It's a very complex system, just like their passive skill tree, which looks like the sphere grid from Final Fantasy X. It's just an immense thing. It's very daunting if you start.
Sphere grid.
And they're actually doing an expansion, I believe, next month to add a lot of stuff. Yeah, according to this, March 4th, the new expansion will come out.
Cool.
So this is really just to promote that. But a very good game. Very worth your time if you want to play an ARPG and don't want to put down the money for Diablo or Torchlight. This is a good way to get your feet wet in the genre. And the final game is Life is Feudal, Your Own. Which is such a weird title, isn't it?
Yeah, that's weird. What is the Your Own? What is that?
I don't know. I mean, you would think, your own life is feudal or something like that. It's very broken English.
Life is feudal. Oh. I'm looking it up on Steam.
It's basically sort of the DayZ model where it's an open sandbox, but actually it's more Ark Survival now that we have more games in the genre that have the survival element, but also a building element alongside it.
Yeah.
Only this is set in medieval times, or feudal times.
I'm still looking to see if I can figure out what the Your Own thing is.
Yeah, it looks like they almost cut off part of the title, doesn't it?
Probably to make it fit a certain screen resolution.
Yeah, but you go to Steam and it's the same title.
Yeah, I guess. I don't see it.
I'm guessing it's trying to invoke Old English.
Probably, yeah.
But it's basically just a open world sandbox where wildlife could kill you and people could be dicks to you, and pretty much the type of game that I would hate to play, but is interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see what the your own thing is. It might be in there somewhere, but I don't see it. I'm not going to waste any more time looking for it.
You're trying to figure this out now. You're obsessed.
Yeah. Maybe a little.
Yeah, if you want a sandbox game where you could beat dicks to other people building stuff, it's not a bad game, but it's still very much an early access. Actually, they took it out of early access. I'm surprised.
If I wanted a sandbox game where I could be dicks to people building things, I'd just go play Eve.
Fair enough. This is basically a medieval version of Eve for you, okay? Is that a better way of saying it?
Yes, absolutely. I want to play it right now.
But sorry, no spreadsheets.
Oh. Well, that brings us to the end of our game recommendations. That was a nice filler piece. We're going to get much closer to the 3-hour time limit than we did last week.
Yeah, you enjoyed my bonus. I'm not sure if I recommend this or not. If I should give that part. It's an interesting introduction to a lot of free-to-play titles.
Right.
And if anything interests you, especially in the $1 tier, it's probably a really good buy. The games themselves, Awesome Knots is a good buy, but it's been bundled several times before, if I recall correctly. The golf game has been given freely away. War of the Vikings has no multiplayer presence at all, and actually let me check on Life is Feudal, see what the player base is for that.
Okie dokie. Do 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 do, making music and vamping, because I don't know what to say right now. Yeah.
Okay, it actually has a pretty good player base. It's sitting at 1,100 players right now, so better than Evolve.
Well, that's not saying much, though.
Yeah, true.
So, Rage, what's coming up on your channel this week?
Oh, well, if I could fix my recording issues with Binding of Isaac, its series will be continuing. If not, I'll be dropping that after next week's content. Which is kind of sad because I've done Binding of Isaac for like 120, 130 episodes between it and its expansion.
Poor Whittle Isaac.
Yeah, he's going to be alone in the basement if I don't figure out what broke my recording setup, and I have no idea what broke it. And outside of that, everything's pretty much just going well along. SteamWorld Dig is still moseying along, if you pardon the term.
Okay.
I think you enjoyed the game just because of all the mining in it. And coming up towards the end of it, I believe, after this week's content, which also had some recording issues with it as well, and I have to try to splice together like 2 or 3 videos of it because it started to also do the slowdown, which makes me think it is more of OBS that was causing problems, but it only did it for like a second or two, and I restarted OBS and it fixed it, so...
Right.
It's just weird. I think I should stop doing OpenGL games. And Darksiders is still going along. I actually hit the water temple.
Fancy.
Yeah, it turns out Darksiders has a water temple. Goody. And as always, you could catch me on Twitter at Gaming with CR or YouTube with that content, Gaming with Caffeine Rage. And what's going on your end?
Well, this week we're going to get some golf. I have been playing some golf solo.
Oh boy.
I've actually got a lot of unusable content. It's a lot of editing. Because, like, I'm just sitting around talking, speaking whatever comes onto my mind. I'll have, like, a little sheet in front of me of stuff that I think about talking about. But mostly it's just me, like, talking off the cuff. And a lot of it is, like, garbage. So I've got to go in and do some more editing. But
it's more fun whenever you're lost in the woods, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's more fun with other people, but I've recorded the footage, so I'm going to try and put something together. Other than that, there's more streams coming this week as always. There'll be an extra one because the stream we did Sunday was broken into 2 parts, one for each game that we played. So you'll actually get 2 shorter videos. They're both still really long. One of them's an hour and the other one's 2 hours, but it's better than a single 3-hour video. And then I've got some stuff cooking in the Space Engineers department. I started on that. I think I mentioned last time or time before last that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I know what I want to do, but that series is probably 2 or 3 weeks away from starting up, since I want to get some episodes ready to go before I start posting them.
Which that may be around the same time that our little project is ready to go.
Yeah, and that would be nice. So this week, a couple extra streams, some golf once I get that put together, and then my EVE Online video, which I mentioned last week, was going to be up today. It's not up today, but it will be up this week. I made a boo-boo, and I am having to go back and re-edit some of it, and then I'll have to re-render it.
Re-rendering is always such a pain.
Yeah, what I did was I recorded audio separately and laid it over the game, and I rendered the whole thing and then played it, and I was like, oh, I forgot to turn down the game audio. So it's like I'm talking about things, and then you can just hear in the background the music that Eve plays, which is just kind of, generic background music, but it's like an hour of generic background music. The video's not an hour long, but, generic background music as loud as my voice does not sound good. So I had to go back and re-edit it. So it'll be ready in a day or two. It should be out before this podcast releases. And as always, you can find all of that content I just mentioned on Gaming Psychologist on YouTube. And you can follow me on Twitter at JMA4707. And of course, you can always reach me here at the podcast, vglpodcast@gmail.com.
That is assuming, of course, that you're active on Twitter once again.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I had a rough week. But going forward, I should be back to normal. I usually post a tweet or 2 every day. I'm not like a huge Twitter person. I never have been, but unless I get into a big conversation with somebody.
Yeah, which honestly you don't really see, though, unless you're following both people.
Yeah, that's true.
And that brings us to the closing credits, where you can find our... sorry. Sorry, I need to clear my throat.
Lost it right at the end. Lost your mojo.
Well, we've been talking for 3 hours.
Yeah, I've been going for the last hour without anything to drink. My voice is 100% back. My wife texted me from the bedroom, and she was like, hey, you're extra loud tonight. I was like, oh, well, my full vocal strength is back, but I'm still projecting like it's not. She's like, tone it down.
Okay,
like, well. Yes, honey.
In other words, shut up.
I'll be quiet so you can get some sleep.
Yeah, look, more fodder for the outtakes.
Yeah.
At least you'll have options.
Options are always good. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, on top of emailing us at vglpodcast@gmail.com or tweeting us at vglpodcast, which, like I said, should hopefully be up to full strength by the time this is out, assuming I don't get sidetracked on doing my art pass on it. You can also find our website at videogamelogicpodcast.blogspot.com. I threw in an at there just because I got on the groove.
It's all right. They'll figure it out.
There's a lot of ats there. Maybe I need to break that up on it. And also in our closing credits, our intro and outro music is by Kevin McLeod. His song On the Ground. And his work can be found at incomputech.com. And there's no ads there.
Yes, and remember, we are now on iTunes. Just search Video Game Logic. And you should be able to find us on any podcast app that pulls from iTunes now. We would appreciate reviews, either positive or negative, but please, if you leave us a negative review, tell us why so that we can work on fixing it. And as always, as the music starts to roll over my voice, Bye-bye now.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Why do you think the hobbits were able to eat so much? They had the munchies 24/7.
Mind blown. Like, I've always thought sincerely that they were smoking weed, but I never put the two things together.
Gandalf is captured. He's told, your fondness of the hobbit's pipe weed has mellowed your judgment, or something like that.
I mean, it's just loud enough that I can hear it coming through your mic. Choo choo. Maybe this could be the outtake. Choo choo, motherfucker! Whoa. What was I saying? I lost my whole train of thought thanks to that train.
Yeah.